Introduction. You're at a cafe with a friend, catching up after months apart. Their words say, "I'm fine, just busy." But something in their eyes flickers. The smile does not quite reach their cheeks. You nod along with the conversation. Hesitate for a moment, then move on. Later, you wonder if your friend was truly okay, or if there was something more behind those quick reassurances. Situations like this happen every day. They unfold in offices during job interviews and negotiations, across dinner tables between partners, and even in brief exchanges with strangers. We often take people at their word, missing the subtle signs that could tell us so much more. Sometimes this leads to small misunderstandings. Other times it leaves us blindsided when trust is broken, or filled with regret for not noticing what was right in front of us. We have all felt that uneasy sense of being misled. A partner says that nothing is wrong while avoiding eye contact. A colleague promises cooperation as they nervously tap their fingers on the table. A salesperson's enthusiasm feels just a little too forced. Often we dismiss these instincts, convincing ourselves that we're just imagining things. But what if you could learn to recognize these signals clearly, understanding what people truly feel in real time rather than only afterward? This book is about learning to see what others overlook. It teaches you how to translate the unspoken language of human behavior into practical insight that helps you build stronger relationships, make better decisions, and handle complex situations with confidence. If you have ever wished you could look beyond words to understand what people really mean, you're not alone, and you're not powerless. The ability to analyze people is not a gift reserved for detectives, psychologists, or mind readers. It's a skill that anyone can learn, one observation at a time. Think back to someone who seemed to naturally understand people, a mentor who could anticipate reactions before they happened, an interviewer who noticed nervousness without a word, or a friend who always knew when to ask what was really wrong. It may have seemed like they were born with that intuition, but accurate perception is not magic. It's a method. Just as you learn to read words on a paper or spot patterns in numbers, you can learn to interpret body language, micro-expressions, and the finer details of communication. The science of understanding human behavior has advanced enormously in recent decades. Researchers have identified hundreds of nonverbal signals, such as small shifts in posture, fleeting facial changes, and gestures that last less than a second, all of which reveal valuable clues about emotion, intent, and honesty. Emotional intelligence, once considered abstract, is now recognized as one of the strongest predictors of success. Techniques from neurolinguistic programming offer practical ways to strengthen communication and connection, while personality psychology provides insight into why people act as they do. Despite this progress, most of us still rely on guesswork in everyday interactions. We misread silence as agreement, mistake politeness for sincerity, or overlook signs of discomfort. These small misunderstandings can lead to lost opportunities, strained relationships, and broken trust. Now, imagine having a reliable toolkit for reading behavior as it happens. You would notice the slight tightening around someone's mouth that signals unease, recognize when posture reveals genuine interest, detect hesitation that hints at doubt, and distinguish sincere smiles from polite ones. You would approach difficult conversations with confidence and become less vulnerable to manipulation or dishonesty. Most importantly, you would connect more deeply with friends, family, colleagues, and strangers alike. Understanding people is not only about protecting yourself, it's about creating space for real connection, honest communication and empathy. By learning to read the signals hidden in plain sight, you gain a skill that can transform not only how you see others, but how you engage with the world. That's the promise of this book. Whether you are a student eager to navigate campus life with greater awareness, a professional aiming to master negotiation and leadership, or simply someone interested in strengthening relationships, you will find practical insights here. In the chapters ahead, you will learn the foundations of body language and what to look for in posture, gestures, facial expressions, and tone of voice, the secrets of emotional intelligence and how to develop empathy and self-awareness, practical techniques for identifying lies, reading hidden emotions, and uncovering concealed intentions, personality frameworks that help you predict behavior and adapt your communication style, powerful mindsets and methods, including principles from neuro-linguistic programming for understanding and relating to others. Each chapter is designed to turn research into usable skills. You will not only read about theory, but also practice observation, reflect on your own habits, and build small, consistent routines that you can apply right away. Through exercises, stories, and real examples, you will sharpen your awareness of the signals people send, even when they're unaware of them. With great insight comes great responsibility. The skills you will develop in this book are tools for understanding, not weapons for control. Reading people is not about gaining power, tricking others, or manipulating situations in your favor. It's about creating clarity and connection. When you learn to look beyond the surface, you can address issues openly, encourage honesty, and create spaces where people feel seen and understood. Integrity and empathy must be the foundation for how you use what you learn here. At times, you might feel tempted to use this knowledge to gain an advantage, steer conversations, or protect yourself from vulnerability. These impulses are natural, but counterproductive. They weaken the trust and the authenticity that real relationships require. Instead, let your insight fuel curiosity and compassion. The goal is to connect, not control. Remember that everyone is misunderstood at times, and we all depend on the kindness and understanding of others. As your ability to read people grows, so does your responsibility to respond with empathy and respect. No matter your background or profession, you interact with people every day. Your ability to understand what others are thinking and feeling shapes your happiness, effectiveness, and sense of belonging. By the end of this journey, you will see others and yourself with greater clarity. You will recognize the subtle cues that reveal truth, distinguish sincerity from pretense, and unlock a deeper level of understanding that transforms ordinary interactions into meaningful connections. You do not have to live with uncertainty. You can learn to read people as clearly as you read these words. What begins as noticing a small flicker in someone's eyes can become the key to an entirely new way of seeing and relating to the world. This is the beginning of a lifelong practice of awareness, connection, and genuine human understanding. Let us begin. Chapter 1. The Fundamentals of Human Behavior. Have you ever conversed with someone whose words appeared confident and clear, yet their presence conveyed a different message? Maybe during a conversation you noticed a fleeting frown or a subtle shift in posture that contradicted what was being said. These subtle but impactful actions frequently reveal emotions, intentions, or discomfort that lie beneath the surface. Understanding these signals can make the difference between genuinely connecting with others and missing crucial cues about their true feelings. Human communication is complex, and much of it happens without language. Our faces, gestures, voice tone, and body movements carry rich messages shaped by both biology and culture. Though we may try to control what we show, many behaviors emerge spontaneously, offering honest glimpses into our thoughts and emotions. Learning to observe and interpret these nonverbal cues helps us make better judgments, avoid misunderstandings, and build stronger relationships by seeing beyond spoken words. This chapter introduces the essential ideas behind human behavior, emphasizing the importance of nonverbal communication and first impressions. It explores key behavioral channels such as facial expressions, posture, gestures, eye contact, voice, space, and touch, while also guiding you on how to develop clear and unbiased observation skills. With practice, you will begin to recognize patterns in people's behavior, detect when their actions don't match their words, and learn valuable information about their true feelings and intentions. Why actions matter more than words. Decoding honest communication and first impressions. The way people act often reveals more about what they truly feel or think than the words they say. When someone communicates, most of the message does not come from spoken language. Researchers estimate that 70 to 93% of communications is nonverbal. This range, although debated, is supported by numerous studies showing how much facial expressions, gestures, posture, eye contact, and tone of voice contribute to the message. While words deliver content, it's usually behavior that shows emotion, mood, and intent. Behavioral cues are powerful because they're rooted deep in our evolutionary past. Long before language developed, human ancestors relied on body language, facial expressions, and vocal tones to signal safety, danger, friendliness, or aggression. These nonverbal signals helped primitive groups survive by allowing rapid, sometimes life-saving interpretations of others' intentions. Today, these signals still bypass many of the filters we impose on our speech. Much of our behavior is controlled unconsciously. The unconscious mind directs many small actions, such as micro-expressions or changes in voice pitch, which slip out before conscious control can catch them. Trying to fake confidence, for example, is much more challenging than simply declaring, "I am confident." It requires maintaining a steady gaze, relaxed shoulders, a genuine smile, and calm breathing, all at once, all coordinated and natural. Few people can fake those signals consistently, especially if they feel stress or anxiety. For example, imagine a job interview. The candidate assures the interviewer, "I work well under pressure." But their hands tremble, their gaze darts away, and their foot taps rapidly under the table. These small behaviors send a different message. Or think about a polite dinner party where a guest says, "I'm delighted to be here," but their folded arms and clipped responses hint at discomfort or irritation. In business negotiations, someone may verbally agree to a deal, yet their lips press tightly together and they avoid eye contact, suggesting reluctance or an intention to renege later. These real-life moments show how behavior can contradict words. The reasons for these leaks tie back to the brain's biology. The limbic system, a group of structures deep inside the brain, is heavily involved in processing emotions and driving automatic responses. When we experience fear, excitement, or embarrassment, the limbic system triggers reactions before we have time to filter them. Controlled expressions, such as deliberately smiling or nodding, require the cerebral cortex, which manages conscious decision-making. Spontaneous expressions, however, happen in a flash and are much harder to regulate. Stress makes it even more difficult to maintain a false front, since the body's stress response can cause sweating, fidgeting, or voice cracks, all of which signal something is wrong. Recognizing the importance of behavior allows us to make better judgments in everyday life. Noticing when someone's words and actions do not align can help us decide whom to trust, when to ask deeper questions, or when to offer support. Managers can use behavioral cues to identify when employees are overwhelmed, even if they claim otherwise. Friends or partners can detect discomfort or sadness, even when the other person insists they are fine. In customer service, reading small cues, such as a client's forced smile or crossed arms, can help uncover hidden dissatisfaction before it becomes a larger issue. Now, here are some everyday scenes where greater awareness of behavior makes a difference. In the workplace, a team manager agrees to take on a project but sighs and slouches in their seat. This signals reluctance, even if they don't voice it. During a disagreement at home, a partner declares they're not upset, yet their clenched jaw or avoidance indicates otherwise. At a networking event, a business associate gives a firm handshake and makes enthusiastic remarks, but repeatedly checks their phones, revealing impatience or lack of interest. It's important to recognize that behavioral analysis isn't about mind reading. No single gesture or expression should be taken as absolute truth. Many people fear that stray signals will catch them, or believe that experts can instantly decode every movement. In reality, reading behavior requires context, patience, and an open mind. Cultural differences, social norms, and personal habits all influence how people express themselves. The goal is not to jump to conclusions, but to observe patterns and notice when something feels off or doesn't match the verbal message. The brain plays a giant part in processing these clues. It's wired to make quick judgments about others based on minimal information, helping us navigate social situations efficiently. This rapid assessment often starts with behavior, forming our first impressions and guiding future interactions. Paying close attention to behavior rather than just words helps us understand others more fully and build stronger relationships. Understanding the 7 behavioral channels in building unbiased observation skills. Facial expressions. Facial expressions signal emotions and intentions instantly. They reveal comfort, confidence, and engagement through smiles, frowns, raised brows, or tight lips. In business meetings, a genuine smile can indicate openness, while a tense jaw may show discomfort. In social settings, persistent eye-rolling or furrowed brows may suggest irritation. At home, eyebrow raises often mean curiosity or surprise. Cultural factors shape emotional display. Some cultures value subtle expressions, while others encourage vivid ones. Misreading expressions can lead to false assumptions. A neutral face could denote concentration, not annoyance. Posture. Posture reflects attitude, status, and involvement. An upright stance with open shoulders usually shows confidence. Slouching or crossed arms suggests uncertainty or withdrawal. In a group discussion, leaning forward signals enthusiasm, while turning away may indicate rejection. At a party, relaxed posture can mean comfort with the group. Many cultures view direct, tall posture as professional, but in some places, informal postures are normal. Avoid equating slouching with disrespect, as tiredness or physical discomfort may explain it. Gestures. Gestures emphasize points, regulate dialogue, and express feelings. Nodding commonly shows agreement, while fidgeting may reveal nervousness. During presentations, controlled, open-handed gestures project honesty. In social circles, animated gestures can signal excitement. Intimate situations involve gentle, smaller gestures. Gesture meanings shift across cultures. What is friendly in one place may offend in another. Not all fidgeting is anxiety. Habit or personality often plays a role. Eye contact. Eye contact regulates attention, connection, and credibility. Sustained gaze conveys confidence and engagement during business negotiations, while quick glances may signal discomfort or deception. Averted eyes in a social group can reflect shyness, not dishonesty. Among friends, direct eye contact fosters trust, but overuse can appear aggressive. Culturally, the correct amount of eye contact varies. Avoid labeling limited eye contact as a lack of engagement. Sometimes it indicates deep thought. Voice. Voice communicates emotion through tone, pace, volume, and pauses. Assertive tone and steady rhythm, common in business leadership, signal confidence. High-pitched, rushed speech may point to uncertainty in group settings. In quiet, intimate conversations, a soft, warm tone shows care. Some cultures value loud, lively speech. Others consider it rude. Pauses can mean thoughtfulness instead of hesitation. Distinguish between natural speech patterns and emotional states. Space. Space, or proxemics, reveals comfort, authority, and relationship types. Leaders in meetings may occupy more space or sit at the head, showing dominance. Social gatherings see friends standing close. Strangers keep distance. Couples often minimize space between them in private. Space rules vary. Some cultures value closeness, others prefer distance. Crowded conditions or personal habits influence spacing. Don't misjudge intentionally. Touch. Touch communicates warmth and support, but also power and territory. A handshake in a business setting is formal and respectful, while a pat on the shoulder encourages team members. Friends often exchange casual, brief touches. Couples may hold hands. Touch norms differ greatly. Some cultures readily use touch. Others avoid it. Interpret touch within personal and cultural context to avoid misunderstanding. Individual channel observation exercise. Focus on one behavioral channel, such as posture, for 10 minutes. Find a public space, a cafe or library. Watch for upright, hunched, balanced, or shifting postures. Use a notebook or digital device to record brief descriptions. Note patterns: upright, relaxed shoulders, open arms. Afterward, review notes, compare similar postures, and assess mood indicators. Avoid guessing emotions or motives. Record only what's visible. Duration: 10 minutes per session. Environment: cafe, park, or library. Ethics: avoid staring or invading personal space. Progress indicators: accurate description, increased recognition speed. Troubleshooting: if unsure about meaning, just describe the behavior. Multi-channel analysis exercise. Observe interactions between at least 3 channels in a group setting. At a business meeting, note facial expressions, voice, and gestures together. Create a table. Individual A. Facial: smile. Voice: firm. Gesture: open. Analyze combinations. Smiling plus firm voice plus open gesture equals confidence. Look for mixed messages, like smiling but closed posture. Maintain objectivity, take into account the context, and refrain from hastily drawing conclusions. Duration, 20 minutes. Environment, meeting, party, group study. Ethics, observe unobtrusively. Progress indicators, identify conflicting cues. Troubleshooting, if data is unclear, focus on one channel. Real-world practice scenario. Sit in a park for 15 minutes. Quietly observe 2 or more people interacting. Watch across all channels, focusing on behaviors tied to comfort, leaning in, steady voice, relaxed hands, and discomfort. Crossed arms, minimal eye contact, tight lips. Record patterns and context, such as time of day or activity. Use discretion. Never eavesdrop or invade privacy. Duration, 15 minutes. Environment, park, waiting room, cafe. Ethics, respect privacy. No recording audio or video. Progress indicators, consistent, context-aware observations. Troubleshooting, if overwhelmed, select one pair of people to observe. Objective observation requires neutrality. Never allow assumptions, biases, or stereotypes to influence your notes. Recognize cultural and situational factors. Always protect privacy and consider the ethics involved in observing others. These core skills create a strong foundation for advanced analysis and a deeper understanding of human behavior in later chapters. Now that we understand the vital role of nonverbal communication, first impressions, and the main behavioral channels, we can refine our observation skills to read people more accurately in everyday life. By carefully noticing how facial expressions, posture, gestures, eye contact, voice, space, and touch work together, we gain a clearer picture of others' true feelings and intentions, extending beyond their words. This foundation allows us to detect hidden emotions and possible deception with greater confidence, improving our ability to connect, communicate, and build stronger relationships. Without practice and patience, these insights will not only enhance personal interactions, but also prepare us for deeper exploration into the complex world of human behavior in the chapters that follow. Chapter 2. The Language of the Face. Have you ever noticed how quickly a person's face can change when they hear surprising news or feel uneasy during a conversation? Sometimes a smile flickers for just a moment before disappearing, or the eyes shift nervously without any words being spoken. These small, often unnoticed movements carry important clues about what someone is really feeling or thinking beneath the surface. Yet many of us miss these subtle signals or misread them entirely, leading to misunderstandings or missed opportunities in communication. This chapter will guide you through understanding the language of the face by exploring common facial expressions and the tiny, rapid changes known as micro-expressions. You will learn how specific muscles create universal emotions that show up across cultures, how to observe eye behaviors that reveal hidden feelings or possible deception, and how to spot when someone's face doesn't quite match with their words. By practicing these skills, you will improve your ability to read people accurately in real time, detect emotions and intentions more clearly, and build stronger relationships based on genuine understanding. Decoding universal emotions and micro-expressions. A smile lights up involuntarily when a friend brings good news. During a heated negotiation, anger quickly surfaces. Fear might flicker across the face just before an important speech. These moments, regardless of where someone is in the world, share a common ground. Scientific observation reveals 6 core facial expressions: joy, anger, fear, disgust, surprise, and sadness. They signal the most universal human emotions, bridging language and national boundaries. Each expression is rooted in basic muscular movements and is triggered by similar emotional contexts across cultures, giving them remarkable reliability as indicators of what a person is feeling in real time. Joy. Joy emerges in response to positive experiences, success, gratitude, affectionate encounters. The main muscles involved are the zygomatic major, pulling up the mouth's corners, and orbicularis oculi, causing crow's feet by crinkling the outer eye. The cheeks lift, eyes often narrow, and teeth may be shown. Some smiles are broad and spontaneous, while others are small and subtle, hinting at polite or restrained happiness. This expression appears in greetings with loved ones after hearing a funny joke, or when receiving praise at work. Anger. Triggered by perceived threats or frustration, anger gathers energy in the face. The corrugator supercilii muscle pulls the brows down and together, creating vertical lines above the nose, while the eyes narrow intensely. Lips may press flat, flare, or bare teeth. Anger can look mild, as with a sigh and frown, or intense, with a bright red face and flared nostrils. You might see it in tense job interviews, conflicts in meetings, or family disagreements. Fear. Fear rises suddenly in risky or uncertain situations. The brows shoot upwards, the upper eyelids lift, and the eyes widen, sometimes showing more white around the iris. The mouth may stretch horizontally or drop open. In some, fear presents subtly, as a flicker when crossing a busy street. In others, it's more pronounced, like in a confrontation at work, or just before public speaking. Disgust. Triggered by unpleasant tastes, smells, or ideas, disgust is clear even in babies. The nose wrinkles, the upper lip pulls up, and the cheeks may rise. Disgust can be fleeting, as when sniffing spoiled milk, or protracted, as when reacting to offensive behavior in a negotiation. Sometimes only the nose wrinkles, showing a milder version. Surprise. Unexpected events set off surprise. The brows arch high, eyes widen, and the jaw drops. The expression is usually brief and quickly blends into another emotion as the mind catches up with the moment. Receiving unexpected news, finding a document error, or greeting a friend after a long absence can all cause surprise. Sadness. Loss or disappointment brings sadness. The inner corners of the eyebrows slope up, the corners of the mouth drift downward, and eyelids droop. Tears may appear, the face softens, and eye contact might be avoided. Sadness can be fleeting, triggered by minor setbacks, or long-lasting during personal struggles. Look for it during difficult family conversations, or when co-workers talk through setbacks. These universal emotions provide a foundation for understanding a person's internal state, but real life rarely shows pure emotions. Combinations like surprise blending into joy, or anger mixed with sadness, are more common, and their intensity varies across cultures and individuals. These facts make it essential to observe objectively rather than make snap judgments. Static recognition exercise. Read this facial description. The mouth's corners are turned up, teeth are visible, cheeks are raised, and small lines fan from the outer eyes. What emotional state is most likely present? Repeat with various written scenarios. Focus solely on the muscles described and avoid guessing based on context or assumed intent. Dynamic observation exercise. Observe video interviews or real-life conversations at work or in a cafe. Note the small movements around the eyes, mouth, and brows. Time shows how quickly expressions shift. Does the smile linger, or does it disappear almost instantly? Challenge yourself to write down the dominant emotion, avoiding immediate conclusions about why it is present. Micro-expression practice. A micro-expression is a fleeting flash of emotion lasting less than half a second. For example, in a negotiation, someone might show a brief clenching of the jaw and narrowing of the eyes, even if their overall demeanor is calm. These flashes usually appear mid-conversation or when a topic provokes a strong reaction. Watch for subtle, rapid changes, especially at the eyes and mouth. Practice by replaying short video clips and pausing to catch these split-second shifts. Key cautions. Never judge an emotional state from a single muscle movement. Expressions often combine, and cultural background can affect intensity. Context changes meaning. A smile during frustration may conceal true emotion. People also vary in how expressively they use their faces. Immediate practice. In your next friendly conversation or public interaction, look for the movements around the eyes, brows, and mouth as emotions shift. Silently record which basic emotion shows strongest without interpreting reasons behind it. This builds your skill and prepares you for more profound analysis of subtle signals and eye cues ahead. Analyzing the eyes and identifying facial incongruence. Eyes offer a unique gateway into the truth behind a person's words, reflecting emotions in ways even microexpressions can't always conceal. By sharpening your observation of eye behaviors, you move beyond general impressions and start uncovering meaningful patterns, many of which occur in tandem with or just before fleeting microexpressions. 4 specific eye-related behaviors give especially clear clues. Contact patterns, blinking frequency, pupil responses, and gaze direction. Eye patterns, what to notice and what they mean. Eye contact patterns, observable pattern, consistent, comfortable eye contact during conversation, or, conversely, frequent, rapid breaking of gaze. Scientific explanation. Steady eye contact is often associated with honesty, as it demonstrates engagement and confidence. Conversely, avoiding or shifting eye contact can indicate discomfort or evasion, but may also signal shyness or cultural norms about respect. Real-world interpretation. In job interviews, a candidate who answers calmly while making steady, relaxed eye contact is more likely to be telling the truth. During business negotiations, evasive glances, especially when paired with guarded body language, might reveal withheld information. Common misconceptions. People often mistakenly assume that liars refuse eye contact. Some actually overcompensate, making excessive eye contact to appear trustworthy. Blinking frequency. Observable pattern. An increase or decrease in blink rate, especially around key questions. Scientific explanation. Stress can speed up blinking, while intense concentration may reduce it. Sudden changes away from a baseline usually reflect shifts in emotional states. Real-world interpretation. In personal relationships, someone accused of dishonesty might start blinking noticeably more or less than usual just before responding. In social settings, a rapid series of blinks can signal discomfort before a white lie. Common misconceptions. Not every change in blinking indicates deceit. Factors like fatigue, allergies, or lighting can all influence blink rate. Pupil responses. Observable pattern. Pupils quickly widen, dilate, or shrink, constrict, often in response to emotional or cognitive shifts. Scientific explanation. The autonomic nervous system controls pupil size automatically, making it less subject to conscious control. Excitement, attraction, anxiety, and deception can all cause changes. Real-world interpretation. In business deals, rapid dilation when discussing a sensitive issue may betray a strong emotional reaction or a hidden attachment to an outcome. Common misconceptions. Pupil changes are subtle and influenced by environmental light as well as emotion. Don't rely on this cue by itself. Gaze direction. Observable pattern. Looking up, down, left or right, or away at specific moments during conversation. Scientific explanation. Gaze direction can signal different cognitive processes, visual, auditory, or remembered information. Frequent glances away while answering unexpectedly may reveal inner debate or discomfort. Real-world interpretation. In a romantic setting, a partner who looks sideways before answering, "Where were you?" might be fabricating details. Common misconceptions. There's no universal liar's direction. Context and baseline behavior matter most. Detecting incongruence. Spotting mismatches. Successful deception often breaks down when the face tells a different story than the words. Recognizing congruence through precise observation. Timing mismatches. Genuine expressions usually appear within half a second of the associated words. If a smile or frown comes too late or lingers too long, the emotion might not be authentic. Asymmetrical facial movements. Real emotions tend to engage both sides of the face equally. Look for lopsided smiles or raised eyebrows that only affect one side, often a red flag for insincerity. Contradictory micromovements. Watch for fleeting signs of the opposite emotion. A brief tightening of the lips or crinkle of the eyes can reveal hidden feelings when someone claims they're fine. Duration inconsistencies. A real joyful smile fades naturally, while a forced one often snaps on and off quickly. Analytical Exercise 1. The 3-zone face reading. Observational steps. 1. Divide the face into upper, eyes, brows, middle, nose, cheeks, and lower, mouth, chin, zones. 2. Study each zone in sequence as the person speaks. Key points by zone. Upper. Eye contact, blink rate, brow raises or furrows. Middle. Flared nostrils, cheek tension. Lower. Smiling, lip movements, jaw tension. Common patterns to watch for. Genuine emotion. All 3 zones activate in harmony. Potential deception. Smile with the mouth, but eyes and cheeks stay neutral. Practice scenario. During a job interview, ask, "Why did you leave your last job?" and observe which zones react as the candidate answers. Interpretation. Alignment across zones signals truthfulness. If only the mouth smiles while the eyes remain cold, question the sincerity. Analytical Exercise 2. Truth-Telling Timeline. Technique. Track the sequence of facial and eye reactions as you ask questions. Observation steps. Listen for a question. Watch for immediate micro-expressions or eye movements. Note when the verbal answer arrives. Common patterns. Honest reactions, expression changes come before the words. Suspicious patterns. Words come first, followed by delayed or forced expressions. Practice scenario. In a relationship conversation, ask, "Are you really okay?" Observe facial changes before, during, and after the answer. Interpretation. Natural emotional responses don't wait for words. If you see emotion flash after the answer, rather than before, it could mean concealment. By linking your knowledge of eye cues and micro-expressions, you gain sharper insight into feelings beneath the surface. Eyes often predict a fleeting micro-expression that follows, completing the pattern begun in the previous section. Tying universal emotional signals to precise, real-time eye observations equips you to detect both truth and deception, setting the stage for reading the true story behind every face that you encounter. Now that you understand how facial expressions and eye behaviors reveal emotions and intentions, you can sharpen your ability to read people more accurately in real time. By carefully observing these subtle cues and recognizing patterns of congruence or mismatch, you will be better equipped to detect hidden feelings and possible deception. This skill not only enhances your awareness, but also strengthens your communication and relationships by allowing you to respond with greater empathy and insight. As you continue to practice and apply these techniques, your confidence in interpreting the unspoken language of the face will grow, leading to deeper connections and clearer understanding in every interaction. Chapter 3. Posture and Physical Presence. Have you ever noticed how someone's entire attitude can seem to change the moment they straighten their back or shift their weight? Maybe a friend who usually leans in during conversations suddenly pulls away, or a colleague who slouches when stressed but stands tall when confident. These subtle shifts in posture and movement convey feelings and intentions more clearly than words often can. They reveal the underlying thoughts and emotions of people. Body language is a powerful form of communication that most of us use every day, often without realizing it. The way people hold themselves, their gestures, and even the rhythms of their movements all paint a vivid picture of their inner state. This chapter will guide you through the silent signals hidden in posture, stillness, and movement, showing you how to interpret these cues with greater accuracy. By learning to recognize patterns like openness, tension, or synchronization between individuals, you will deepen your understanding of others' emotions and intentions in real time. Ultimately, this awareness will sharpen your ability to connect, communicate, and navigate social situations with confidence and insight. Interpreting posture and openness in body language. Posture serves as a visual language, silently expressing feelings that words might conceal. How someone stands, the angle of their head, and the placement of their limbs all work together to reveal moods and intentions. Upright posture, for example, features straight shoulders, an open chest, and evenly distributed weight on both feet. This is most often associated with confidence or attentiveness. The body's alignment reflects balance and readiness. People who stand tall signal assurance, drawing positive attention. In contrast, a slouched stance with rounded shoulders and a caved-in chest suggests low energy or diminished self-confidence. The body appears to retreat inward, offering subtle clues of uncertainty or fatigue. A forward-leaning posture usually signals engagement. Someone who leans slightly toward a person or group communicates interest and curiosity. Conversely, a backward-leaning position, with the upper body pulled away and sometimes weight shifted to the heels, may indicate discomfort, skepticism, or desire to disengage. Observing these posture types in conversation provides a foundation for understanding others' emotional states. Emotions shape the body's physical bearing in distinct ways. Confidence is typically marked by a head held high, level shoulders, a widened stance, and relaxed arms. The pelvis often aligns with the feet, projecting stability and presence. Signs of stress, on the other hand, include visible muscle tension in the jaw, neck, or shoulders. Weight may shift rapidly from one leg to another, and the spine might curve into a rigid or protective shape. These small, high-alert adjustments are involuntary responses directed by the nervous system's fight-or-flight activation. Openness is expressed through an expanded chest, shoulders rolled slightly back, and arms that hang freely or rest comfortably at the sides. The body's angle may face directly toward others, avoiding unnecessary barriers. Defensiveness, in contrast, reveals itself through crossed arms, tightly clasped hands, or objects held as shields. The body angles away or places subtle physical obstacles, such as bags, books, or even a coffee cup between oneself and others. These patterns help maintain psychological boundaries when vulnerability is felt. A practical approach to reading posture begins with establishing a baseline. Observe how someone typically sits or stands when relaxed. Notice their habitual positions. From this baseline, changes in posture during specific interactions become far more meaningful. For instance, a usually upright friend who suddenly slouches might be feeling disappointed. Paying attention to clusters of cues, such as a lowered head, tightened shoulders, and closed arms, makes interpretation more reliable than focusing on a single gesture. When evaluating posture, cultural and contextual awareness are essential. In some cultures, direct eye contact and open posture signal respect and engagement, while in others, this may be interpreted as assertiveness or even aggression. In professional environments, upright postures and open stances are common, whereas informal gatherings might feature more relaxed, loosely aligned bodies. The interpretation of personal space also varies significantly. What feels comfortable in one setting may seem intrusive in another. Scenarios bring these concepts to life. During a tense office meeting, a confident participant sits with feet flat on the floor, shoulders squared, and arms open. Another person, feeling exposed or anxious, edges back in the chair, folds their arms tightly. In social gatherings, friends who feel connected naturally lean in, hips angled toward one another, without creating barriers. When two people argue, physical space often expands, with both leaning away or turning their bodies to the side. In romantic moments, partners may lessen the distance, orienting their bodies toward each other and resting their arms openly. The nervous system drives these postural shifts. When a person feels threatened or stressed, the sympathetic nervous system signals muscles to tense and prepares the body for defensive action. Chronic tension can lead to ingrained postural habits, such as hunching or tight shoulders, even when the threat is past. Muscle relaxation, guided by the parasympathetic system, allows for the open and fluid postures seen in comfort and emotional safety. Immediate cues, such as an unexpected stiffening of the neck, crossing of the arms, or a sudden shift in stance, can indicate a change in emotional state. Tracking these changes over time reveals whether a posture is habitual or reactive. Habitual postures develop through repeated patterns and remain mostly constant. Reactive postures appear suddenly and signal a shift in comfort or intent, especially during emotionally charged conversations. Spatial positioning within a group highlights relationship dynamics. People who feel comfortable position themselves closer with open bodies. Increased distance, angled feet, or partial turning away can indicate discomfort or a need for emotional space. Recognizing these subtle shifts helps decode unspoken messages and fosters deeper understanding in everyday interaction. Decoding movement, stillness, and behavioral synchrony. Foot tapping under a table, fingers drumming lightly against a desktop, a hand twisting a lock of hair, or someone quietly spinning a pen over and over in their fingers. These small actions fall under fidgeting behaviors, and each reveals valuable insight about what is happening beneath the surface. Foot tapping is often rapid and repetitive, sometimes loud enough to catch attention. This movement frequently points to impatience, anxiety, or restlessness, signaling that someone's internal energy does not match the pace of the environment. When fingers tap or drum on surfaces, the message is similar. There's an urge to release pent-up emotion or nervous energy. In interviews, drumming fingers may suggest unease or boredom, while in high-stakes conversations, it can indicate a struggle to maintain composure. Hair touching carries its own meanings. Twisting, twirling, or tugging at hair can offer comfort and signal self-soothing, a common sign of awkwardness or uncertainty. Sometimes people touch their hair when trying to present themselves favorably, showing heightened self-consciousness in social or evaluative situations. Object manipulation, such as spinning rings, clicking pens, or fiddling with a phone case, also appears as a coping strategy for nervousness or distraction. The type of object and the length of the movement can help clarify the emotional state. Continuous, distracted fiddling often points to deep anxiety or stress. In contrast to fidgeting, strategic stillness in a setting conveys a different kind of message. When someone becomes exceptionally still, with arms crossed, body rooted, and eyes fixed, they are signaling complete cognitive and emotional attention. A chess player pausing before a critical move demonstrates intense focus and deliberate thought. In a team meeting, a person sitting motionless and suppressing even minor movements may be exercising emotional control to listen more carefully, conceal feelings, or defend against perceived threats. In confrontational situations, a rigid posture combined with an unbroken gaze often reflects defensiveness or calculated restraint. The absence of movement serves as a kind of armor intended to limit the expression of emotion. Certain forms of stillness can reveal different mindsets depending on the context. For instance, a performer backstage might suddenly freeze, not from focus, but from fear, showing the body's fight, flight, or freeze response. In high-pressure interviews, a candidate who answers every question with unyielding stillness may be overcompensating, attempting to hide nervousness by eliminating visible signs. Stillness, in these cases, communicates as much about a person's mental state as restless movement does. When observing interactions between people, behavioral mirroring becomes central. Without conscious effort, friends, colleagues, and even strangers tend to align their rhythms of speech, gesture pace, posture, and sometimes even breathing patterns. Subtle head nods, crossed arms, or legs angled in the same direction all contribute to this natural synchronization. Dimensions of synchrony and their meaning. Synchrony element. Speech rhythm. What it reveals. Rapport. Effort to conceal. Effort to connect. Synchrony element. Pace of movement. What it reveals. Comfort. Mutual understanding. Synchrony element. Body positioning. What it reveals. Trust. Social alignment. Synchrony element. Gestural patterns. What it reveals. Emotional attunement or imitation. Synchrony element. Breathing rates. What it reveals. Deep empathy. Shared emotional state. High synchrony typically indicates strong social connection, trust, or genuine engagement. Partners in close conversation lean in together, lift cups in unison, match laughter, and unconsciously echo each other's postures. When two people in a negotiation mirror each other's movements, it often reflects respect and active listening. The absence or mismatch of synchrony, however, frequently signals disengagement or discomfort. Forced mirroring, where movements lag awkwardly or appear exaggerated, can be observed in insincere interactions. For example, a salesperson who tries too hard to build rapport might copy a client's posture in a delayed and unnatural way, which easily comes across as inauthentic. A lack of behavioral matching can also indicate resistance or tension. In therapy, a clinician might notice that a client keeps their arms crossed, even as the therapist leans forward empathetically. This gap reveals hesitation or a lack of trust. In group settings, collective alignment, such as shifting posture together or laughing at the same time, often points to emotional or social cohesion. When one person fails to mirror the group, they may feel like an outsider or be intentionally resisting the group dynamic. Practical guidance for reading and applying movement patterns. Observe group interactions carefully. Notice who mirrors whom, who remains apart, and which postures dominate. Group members who move or express emotion together are generally more aligned socially or emotionally. Genuine body language alignment is subtle and natural, while artificial synchrony appears overly deliberate or delayed. To build rapport, match pace, posture, and tone with others in a discreet way. Lightly echo gestures or nods instead of directly imitating them. Pay attention when someone avoids synchrony, such as turning away from the group's shared stance, crossing their arms when others are open, or keeping physical distance. This behavior often suggests withdrawal, discomfort, or disagreement. Recognizing these patterns and responding with sensitivity deepens our understanding of others and helps create smoother, more empathetic communication in every context. Now that we understand how posture, movement, and synchrony reveal emotions and intentions without words, we can refine our ability to read these signals in real time. By noticing subtle shifts in body language, such as a confident stance, a nervous fidget, or synchronized gestures, we gain meaningful insight into what others truly feel and think. This awareness allows us to identify hidden emotions, recognize when someone might be holding back or feeling uneasy, and respond with empathy and clarity. With these skills, we can form stronger connections, communicate more effectively, and navigate social interactions with confidence and understanding. Chapter 4. Hands, Gestures, and Tells. Have you ever noticed how much your hands say before you even speak a word? A simple gesture can reveal excitement, hesitation, or even something that someone is trying to hide. Yet most of us barely pay attention to these silent signals that exist in plain sight. The subtle movements of hands, whether they illustrate what is being said, express hidden feelings, or send clear cultural messages, shape our understanding of others in ways that words alone cannot. This chapter will guide you through the world of hand gestures and their meanings. You will learn how to recognize different types of gestures, understand what they often reveal about a person's emotions and intentions, and identify signs that may indicate discomfort or deception. By focusing on how hands communicate beneath the surface, you will gain valuable skills to read people more clearly, improve your interactions, and become more confident in recognizing when something has been left unsaid. Types of hand gestures and their interpretations. Hand gestures fill the space between our words, helping to clarify, emphasize, and sometimes betray what we feel or mean. They fall into three fundamental categories: illustrators, adapters, and emblems. Each serves a unique purpose in communication and shines a light on what isn't always stated aloud. Illustrators, giving words shape and emphasis. Illustrators are hand movements that go hand in hand with speech. Their main role is to enhance or clarify the spoken message. For instance, someone describing a box might use their hands to indicate its size or shape. In a meeting, when a manager says, "We need to move forward," their hands might thrust ahead, reflecting the notion of progress. Common illustrators appear naturally in everyday conversations, pointing while giving directions, slicing the air for emphasis during debates, or mimicking a stirring motion when describing cooking are all classic examples. These gestures are usually spontaneous and closely tied to the speaker's words. Illustrators work psychologically because physical movements deeply connects our thoughts and language. Research into the brain's mirror neuron system shows that we intuitively match our gestures with our mental imagery and spoken language. When a speaker's gestures match what they're saying, people tend to absorb more information and stay engaged. In professional environments, effective communicators use illustrators to build credibility and emphasis. Public speakers often gesture to highlight key points, drawing the audience's focus. In social situations, illustrators help make stories vivid and relatable. However, misreading illustrators is easy. Their meaning can change by context, culture, and situation. A thumbs up may simply reinforce agreement in one situation or carry unintended meaning in another. When interpreting illustrators, it's important to look at the broader picture, listen to the words, observe tone and setting, and notice if hand movements seem to support or contradict the spoken message. Adapters, unconscious signs of inner state. Adapters differ from illustrators because they are rarely intentional. These are self-directed gestures that often appear when a person feels uneasy, anxious, or bored. Common examples include playing with hair, rubbing one's hands together, tapping fingers on a table, or adjusting jewelry. These movements often go unnoticed, both by the person doing them and by those around them. Adapters are habits rooted in self-soothing behavior. A nervous candidate in a job interview might fiddle with a pen or tap a foot. In social situations, crossing and uncrossing the arms can signal discomfort. During public speeches, unconsciously touching the face or shifting weight from one foot to another often reveals a speaker's inner tension. Unlike illustrators and emblems, adapters are not meant for others to see. Their psychological purpose lies in providing comfort or releasing nervous energy, often emerging during moments of high emotion or stress. The body uses small movements to manage feelings when it feels unprepared or uncomfortable. In professional settings, adapters can indicate a lack of confidence or nervousness, sometimes undermining credibility. Skilled interviewers and public speakers learn to minimize these gestures to project calm authority. However, not all adapters signal stress. Some are simply habitual and carry little psychological meaning, so it's important not to draw quick conclusions. A common mistake is assuming that all adapters are signs of deception. In reality, most relate to ordinary stress, fatigue, or even boredom. Observers must always consider context. Are these gestures appearing during a difficult question, or are they simply habitual? Emblems, cultural handshakes, and clear signals. Emblems stand apart from both illustrators and adapters because they have explicit, universally recognized meanings within a given culture. A peace sign, a thumbs up, or a raised hand for silence are clear examples. These gestures carry a message that does not require words. Unlike illustrations, which depend on accompanying speech, emblems can serve as complete messages on their own. Traffic police directing cars to stop, auctioneers closing a sale with a wave, or a teacher quieting a class with an open palm are all emblematic gestures. The brain processes emblems in ways similar to language. Research shows that we recall and recognize emblems as we do words, and even think in emblematic terms when searching for a gesture to replace speech. The origins of emblems trace back to a community's need for shortcut signals, quick and nonverbal ways to share essential information. Professional and social situations are filled with emblems, yet their meanings can change significantly across cultures. A gesture that is polite in one country may be offensive in another. It is important to learn about local customs, especially in international settings, to prevent misunderstandings. Misinterpreting emblems is one of the most common cross-cultural mistakes. Always verify your assumptions before assigning meaning, particularly in unfamiliar environments. Putting it into practice. To identify gesture types in real time, focus on intent and context. Illustrators bring stories to life. Adapters betray hidden feelings. Emblems deliver clear cultural messages. Pay attention to moments where gestures and words clash. It often signals deeper emotions or conflict. Adapters, in particular, become more pronounced when emotions run high, giving subtle clues to a person's true feelings. As the body seeks comfort, these unconscious movements may reveal truths a speaker would rather hide, hinting at the underlying self-soothing behaviors explored next. Concealed hands, social dynamics, and deceptive cues. Psychological significance emerges clearly in the way hands vanish from view during conversation. Concealed hands, whether slipped into pockets or tucked behind the back, often mark the presence of defensive, deceptive, or dominating emotions. Human instinct favors hand visibility and open, trustworthy exchanges. Hidden hands, therefore, disrupt unconscious expectations and may elevate tension or suspicion within the group. Behavioral pattern description. Hidden hands in pockets. This behavior occurs when a person places one or both hands into pockets during social interactions. Depending on the form, the gesture may range from both hands shoved deep into trousers to just fingers lightly hooked inside a pocket opening. It conveys a nuanced psychological message, sometimes signaling comfort, but just as often hinting at withdrawal, uncertainty, or a wish to mask nervous movements. Observable indicators. Full hand concealment. both hands deep within pockets. Thumb exposure, thumbs hooked outside, rest of the hands inside. Fidgeting or tapping inside pockets. Repeatedly shifting hand positions or clenching fabric. Context considerations. Context determines whether pocketed hands indicate a self-assurance or discomfort. In casual settings, young adults chatting at a park may signal relaxation, but in negotiations, a presenter keeps hands hidden when asked a difficult question, suggesting hesitation or evasion. Accuracy assessment steps. Note emotional shifts before and after hands enter pockets. Track any cluster behaviors, such as foot shuffling, gaze avoidance, or vocal hesitations. Compare with baseline hand behavior of the individual. Check for situational demands. Are pockets a default stance or a new pattern? Behind the back position. Authority often appears with both hands clasped behind the back. This gesture clusters with high-status displays in workplaces or formal events. Leaders addressing teams, security personnel, or VIPs waiting during ceremonies use this stance to signal control, calm, or even superiority. Observable indicators. Arms straight or lightly bent. Hands cradled at the small of the back. Body posture erect, chest expanded. Facial expression generally composed. Restricted gesturing. Little movement toward others. Context considerations. This behavior shines in hierarchical settings. A CEO pacing before a meeting, hands behind the back, radiates command, but might also use it to hide self-soothing movements like finger wringing that betray nervousness. Accuracy assessment steps. Cross-reference with status. Is the person generally in a leadership role? Watch for stress signals in voice or face. Track whether the behind-back gesture hides nervous repetitive movements. Observe over time if the behavior shifts during different conversational dynamics. Deceptive gesture clusters. Concealed hands often accompany deception, especially when paired with rapid shifts in gesture or abrupt self-soothing actions. An employee questioned about a discrepancy may tuck hands under thighs, hide them in jacket sleeves, or hold objects, attempting to control or conceal microadapters. Observable indicators. Sudden disappearance of hands after direct questions. Increased body stiffness. Less gesturing. Tension in shoulders or neck. Unnatural stillness. Hands gripping hidden objects. Context considerations. In business meetings, an executive answering tough questions with hands suddenly hidden signals increased anxiety or a desire to manage involuntary emotional leakage. During social gatherings, a guest who laughs with hands behind the back rather than open on the table may wish to downplay their true feelings. Accuracy assessment steps. Note emotional baseline and response to specific questions. Cluster observations. Is hand hiding paired with other low-confidence signals? For example, lip biting? Consider environmental variables. Cold room, lack of chairs. Avoid snap judgments based on a single cue. Real-world observation exercises. Track hand placement through a conversation, especially at critical moments. Does a pattern emerge when difficult subjects arise? Analyze context. Does a friend always put hands in pockets around authority figures, but not peers? Note gesture clusters. Does hand hiding pair with stilted speech, shallow breathing, or reduced eye contact? Table. Example assessment tool. Gesture rating. Hands in pockets. Context. Negotiation. Emotional tone, anxious. Baseline versus change, change. Confidence, medium. Gesture rating, behind the back. Context, social event. Emotional tone, confident. Baseline versus change, baseline. Confidence, high. Gesture rating, hidden in sleeves. Context, conflict. Emotional tone, defensive. Baseline versus change, sudden shift. Confidence, low. Practical guidelines encourage cross-referencing all hand concealment cues with language, face, and body posture, avoiding misreading. Reliable interpretation arises from noticing hand patterns over time, adjusting for personal habits, and integrating context clues with gesture clusters. These techniques empower the observer to read hand concealment as a finely tuned indicator of emotion, intent, and potential deception, completing the toolkit for advanced behavioral analysis. Now that we understand the powerful role hand gestures play in revealing intentions, emotions, and possible deception, we can use this knowledge to sharpen our ability to read people more accurately in real time. By paying close attention to illustrators, adapters, emblems, and the ways hands are concealed or displayed, we gain valuable clues about what someone truly feels or thinks beyond their words. This awareness helps us detect hidden emotions and potential dishonesty with greater confidence, while also improving how we communicate and connect with others. With practice, these insights become essential tools for building stronger relationships and navigating social and professional interactions with skill and emotional intelligence. Chapter 5. The Voice Tells All. Have you ever noticed how sometimes, even when someone's words seem straightforward, their voice tells a different story? Maybe a friend sounds upbeat, but you hear a hint of hesitation, or a colleague speaks confidently, yet something in their tone feels off. These subtle shifts often go unnoticed, yet they hold valuable clues about what people truly feel and intend beneath their spoken words. The way we speak, how high or low our voice goes, the speed at which we talk, and the emotions carried in our tone can reveal far more than the words themselves. Changes in pitch, pauses, and even small speech disruptions such as or can suggest nervousness, honesty, or hidden truths. Understanding these vocal signals helps us read people more accurately, detect deception, and connect with others on a deeper level. This chapter will guide you through the key vocal elements that shape communication, including tone, pitch, speed, and rhythm. You will learn how to recognize patterns that indicate genuine feelings or concealed intentions. Through practical exercises and real-life examples, you will gain the ability to listen beyond words and interpret the rich information that voices convey. Developing this awareness strengthens your capacity to communicate effectively, build trust, and navigate complex social situations with greater confidence. Analyzing tone, pitch, speed, and vocal congruence. Every conversation holds a wealth of clues hidden within the way people speak. By focusing on three primary elements, tone, pitch, and speed, you can uncover a person's emotions, level of confidence, or even hints of dishonesty during everyday interactions. The three core vocal elements. Tone describes the emotional quality in a person's voice. It might sound warm, flat, cheerful, tense, or cold. Tone shows emotions more than the words themselves, letting you sense feelings like anger, happiness, or nervousness, even if the speaker says little. Pitch is about how high or low someone's voice is. A high pitch can indicate excitement, nervousness, or stress, while a low pitch often signals calm, confidence, or authority. Dramatic changes in pitch, like sudden rises or falls, might mean emotional spikes or attempts to cover up true feelings. Speed refers to how quickly or slowly someone talks. Speaking rapidly can reveal nervousness, eagerness, or even dishonesty. A slow, steady pace often feels controlled and confident. Sudden changes in speed, such as quick bursts followed by pauses, may show discomfort or hesitation. Tone analysis exercise. Vocal pattern description. Listen for warmth, sharpness, or coldness in someone's voice while they speak. What it usually indicates? Warm, open tone, comfort, friendliness, openness. Flat or tense tone, disinterest, annoyance, anxiety. Bright, cheerful tone, genuine happiness or excitement. Harsh, clipped tone, anger, frustration, impatience. Real-world examples. A customer service representative's tone may grow curt when handling a rude caller, even if their words stay polite. Friends' tones may brighten when talking about wins, but tighten when discussing problems. At work, a manager may keep their tone steady and calm, even while giving tough feedback to show control. Practice exercise steps. A. Pick a daily news broadcast or podcast. B. Choose 3 different speakers. C. For 1 minute, focus only on tone. Ignore the words. D. Jot down any feelings their voice gives you. Does it seem excited, tense, or relaxed? E. Check your notes. Did your sense of emotion match changes in their voice? Pitch variation exercise. Vocal pattern description. Notice when a speaker's voice suddenly gets higher or lower during a conversation. What it usually indicates. Higher pitch, anxiety, defensiveness, excitement. Lower pitch, confidence, authority, calmness. Rising pitch at sentence end, seeking approval or feeling unsure. Sudden drop in pitch, attempt to sound serious or hide emotion. Real-world examples. In job interviews, candidates often let their pitch rise when they're unsure or want validation. Did I answer that right? During family debates, a person's pitch may spike if they're trying to defend a difficult position. Public speakers drop their pitch for key phrases to make messages sound important. Practice exercise steps. A. Listen to a friend or family member talk about a recent experience. B. Pick out parts where their pitch rises or falls. C. Write down what happened before and after these changes. D. Guess what emotions might have caused the pitch shift. E. Test this again with your voice on a recorded phone call. Speech rate exercise. Vocal pattern description. Pay attention to how quickly or slowly someone is talking. Notice when they speed up or slow down. What it usually indicates. Fast pace, excitement, nervousness, a wish to avoid detail. Slow, steady pace, comfort, control, careful thought. Sudden slowdowns or long pauses, over 2 seconds. Discomfort, thinking under pressure, possible evasion. Real-world examples. A salesperson's pitch might get rushed when handling objections. Friends may slow down before delivering bad news. A speaker presenting new ideas may start fast, then pause to let a key point land. Practice exercise steps. A. During the next meal, listen for any family member who speeds up or slows down. B. Track at least 3 moments when the speaking rate changes. C. Consider what topic was being discussed during each speed change. D. Try observing a news anchor's delivery for consistent pace versus moments when it shifts. Each of these elements, tone, pitch, and speed, work together to give you a richer understanding of people's true feelings and intentions in the moment. Practicing these skills in safe, everyday situations builds a strong foundation for noticing even subtle shifts, which will make it easier to spot mismatches between what someone says and how they sound. As you keep practicing, you'll start connecting vocal clues with the content of conversations to help you detect authenticity, discomfort, and more beneath the surface. Interpreting pauses, fillers, hesitations, and detecting deception in speech. Speech disruptions often slip into conversation when emotions or hidden intentions surface, revealing what our words try to hide. Everyday speech features moments of pause, hesitation, or scattered filler words, yet the meaning behind these breaks changes dramatically depending on context. Quick, strategic pauses can indicate careful thought, while jittery hesitations often betray anxiety or uncertainty. For example, in a business meeting, a negotiator might pause strategically before presenting an offer, signaling analytic deliberation. Conversely, a candidate in a job interview may blurt out, I just think, when pressed for an honest answer, hinting at nervousness or withheld facts. Common speech disruptions and their significance. Pauses and hesitations. Speech pattern description. Pauses range from short breaks to prolonged silences. Strategic pauses are typically well-placed, providing suggestions of control, whereas anxiety-induced hesitations interrupt natural flow. Psychological meaning. Strategic pauses allow time for organization of thoughts and are often seen during complex or high-stakes exchanges. Hesitations, especially when unexpected, suggest cognitive overload or stress, which frequently accompanies lying or emotional suppression. Real-world context. A salesperson presents clear, uninterrupted pitches on familiar topics, but hesitates when asked about warranty exclusions. The sudden hesitancy reveals possible discomfort or incomplete disclosure. Detection tips. Set a baseline by listening to someone's conversational rhythm when they feel at ease. Watch for disruptions inconsistent with their usual flow, particularly after challenging or personal questions. Filler words. For example, Speech pattern description. Filler words buy time for mental processing, but in clusters or novel contexts can mask uncertainty or fabrications. Psychological meaning. Used naturally, filters sync with thought processes. Overused or out-of-place fillers commonly emerge when trying to fabricate details or avoid detection. Real-world context. During peer feedback, a coworker responds, "Your project was good, and the graphics were nice," avoiding specifics, suggesting concealed criticism or discomfort. Detection tips. Track the type and frequency of fillers. Compare with the speaker's baseline under stress-free conditions. Sudden spikes or unusual placement often indicate deeper issues. Changes in rhythm and speed. Speech pattern description. Rapid speech may indicate nervous energy or excitement, whereas slowed articulation can suggest caution or suppression of information. Psychological meaning. Emotional suppression often manifests as a deliberate, slowed-down delivery as the mind works to filter true feelings. Real-world context. A friend, addressing guilt, slows down noticeably while recounting their whereabouts during a misunderstanding. I was at my cousin's place for a while. Detection tips. Observe tempo shifts. Contextualize speed changes. Are they topic-dependent or random? Pair with other disruptions for accuracy. Verbal leakage. Speech pattern description. Unintentional slips or half-finished thoughts that appear when suppressing the truth. Psychological meaning. During deception, cognitive resources are strained, and suppressed information will sometimes leak in word choice or incomplete statements. Real-world context. In a professional review, an employee replies, "I didn't exactly... it was... Never mind," when asked about a missed deadline, hinting at a detail they'd rather not reveal. Detection tips. Listen for aborted sentences, slip-ups, or words that seem out of place. Such anomalies carry weight when coupled with incongruent tone or body language. Creating a practical detection framework. Speech pattern. Strategic pauses. Psychological meaning. Processing. Focus. Context example. Pitching ideas. Detection tips. Baseline needed. Speech pattern. Hesitations. Psychological meaning. Anxiety, uncertainty. Context example. Job interviews. Detection tips. Inconsistencies. Speech pattern. Filler words. Psychological meaning. Fabrication, stalling. Context example. Giving feedback. Detection tips. Frequency tracking. Speech pattern. Changes in rhythm. Psychological meaning. Emotional suppression. Context example. Personal confessions. Detection tips. Topic context link. Speech pattern. Verbal leakage. Psychological meaning. Cognitive overload. Context example. Deadline discussions. Detection tips. Note anomalies. Clusters of signals provide the strongest evidence of deception or emotional suppression. An isolated hesitation might be harmless, but combined with a filibuster of uhs, altered rhythm, and word slips, the case strengthens. Cultural and individual difference shape these patterns. Some cultures prize deliberate pauses, and some individuals overuse fillers habitually. So, context is essential. Observation exercises for mastery. 1. Pattern recognition exercise. Record 3 natural conversations, office, social, and family. List each speech disruption as it occurs. Log when disruptions align with visible or described emotion, for example, anger, joy, nervousness. 2. Deception detection practice. Obtain recordings of statements known to be true and false. Press conferences, friend confessions. Chart each instance of hesitation, filler use, or rhythm change. Note which patterns consistently mark untruthful moments to boost detection confidence. 3. Real-time analysis application. During a live conversation, mentally track speech disruptions. Rapidly categorize by type: pause, filler, rhythm, leakage. Afterward, reflect on detection accuracy and recalibrate confidence for future interactions. In business, social, and personal contexts, this analytical approach enriches perception. Combined with insights on tone, pitch, and congruence from earlier sections, readers now possess the foundation for advanced verbal analysis, moving steadily toward reliable detection of deception and emotional truth in any voice. Now that you understand how tone, pitch, speed, and speech disruptions reveal hidden emotions and intentions, you are equipped to listen beyond words and detect the true feelings people may try to conceal. By practicing these vocal analysis skills regularly, you will sharpen your ability to read people accurately in real time, gain confidence in spotting deception or discomfort, and build stronger connections through deeper understanding. This foundation opens the door to more effective communication in every setting, helping you navigate conversations with insight and empathy as you continue developing your emotional intelligence. Chapter 6: Personality Types and Behavior Patterns. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to navigate social situations with ease, while others struggle to connect or communicate effectively? Why does one person thrive in large groups, eagerly sharing ideas, while another prefers quiet, one-on-one conversations and thoughtful pauses? Understanding these differences is not just a curiosity. It can be the key to improving how we relate to others in everyday life. People's personalities shape how they behave, speak, and respond to those around them. Yet, these patterns are often subtle and sometimes confusing. Recognizing whether someone is introverted, extroverted, or somewhere in between can change the way we approach conversations and build relationships. Beyond social preferences, underlying traits such as openness, conscientiousness, agreeableness, and emotional stability influence how individuals act across various settings. Noticeable behaviors offer clues that help us form accurate impressions without rushing to judgment. This chapter explores the main ways personality types and behavior patterns appear in real life, offering tools to observe, interpret, and respond thoughtfully to the people you meet. Personality orientations and models. Introverts, extroverts, ambiverts, and the Big Five. Understanding how people think, act, and communicate is central to building stronger relationships, improving teamwork, and making insightful judgments in everyday situations. Early recognition of personality differences can foster deeper connections and prevent misunderstandings. The first step in reading others is tuning into their unique patterns, especially their social orientation and core personality traits. Some people come alive in groups, while others recharge in solitude, and many fall somewhere in between. The spectrum of social orientation, including introversion, extroversion, and ambiversion, can be directly observed in daily interactions. Introverts generally prefer smaller settings, often pausing before responding and maintaining more personal space. Extroverts are energized by group interactions, speak freely and quickly, and feel at home in larger social environments. Ambiverts move comfortably between both tendencies, adjusting naturally to their surroundings. Behavioral markers of social orientation. Introvert. 1. Pauses or thinks carefully before responding in conversations. 2. sits or stands at a modest distance from others, avoiding unnecessary physical contact. 3. Prefers quiet, one-on-one conversations to group discussions. Extrovert. 1. Speaks rapidly, often thinking aloud and responding immediately. 2. Moves closer to others, reduces personal space, and may initiate touch, such as a pat on the back. 3. Seeks out group activities and initiates conversations with enthusiasm. Ambivert. 1. Balances talking and listening, varying response time based on the conversation. 2. Adjusts physical proximity, sometimes echoing the person they're with. 3. Enjoys both social gatherings and solo downtime, choosing based on mood or situation. Practical exercise, identifying social orientation. Observable behavior list. Note speech speed and whether responses are thoughtful pauses or quick replies. Observe how close someone stands, sits, or leans in group or one-on-one situations. Record the ratio of group activity participation to time spent alone. Interpretation guide. Mostly pauses, prefers quiet and distance. Likely introverted. Quick responses, seeks closeness, loves groups. Mainly extroverted. Adjusts style and proximity, comfortable in most settings. Ambivert traits. Real-world application. If your teammate contributes insightful ideas by email but seems less vocal in meetings, consider creating smaller settings or inviting written input. With an extroverted colleague, open brainstorming sessions will bring out their best. Recognizing these orientations lets you tailor your approach, making interactions smoother and more effective. The Big 5 personality traits. While social orientation is visible, deeper patterns are explained by the Big 5 model. Openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. This framework maps out 5 key dimensions, each apparent through daily behaviors and social situations. Trait: openness. Key behavioral indicators: curiosity, creative ideas, new experiences. Social manifestation: suggests innovative solutions in meetings. Interpersonal impact: fosters adaptability and inspiration. Trait: conscientiousness. Key behavioral indicators: organized, punctual, detail-focused. Social manifestation: follows agendas, meets deadlines. Interpersonal impact: builds trust and reliability. Trait: extroversion. Key behavioral indicators: seeks stimulation, talkative. Social manifestation: leads group discussions, social organizer. Interpersonal impact: energizes and motivates teams. Trait: agreeableness. Key behavioral indicators: cooperative, empathetic, warm. Social manifestation: offers help, listens carefully, avoids conflict. Interpersonal impact: smooths group interaction. Trait: neuroticism. Key behavioral indicators: worry, emotional swings, stress. Social manifestation: flustered under pressure, sensitive to feedback. Interpersonal impact: may need reassurance, impacts group mood. Exercise: observing and scoring Big 5 traits. Observation checklist: openness. Notes on creative input, willingness to try new tasks. Conscientiousness. Timelines, organization, follow-through. Extroversion initiates conversations, draws people together. Agreeableness offers support, manages disagreements gently. Neuroticism, visible anxiety, mood changes, response to setbacks. Scoring system. For each trait, assign a score from 1, rarely displayed, to 5, consistently displayed, based on a week's observation. Guidelines for interpretation. High openness and extroversion in a meeting may spark creative teamwork. High conscientiousness with low extroversion might support detailed planning. Strong agreeableness can defuse tension, while low neuroticism stabilizes group moods. Example scenarios. In the workplace, a highly conscientious and agreeable person ensures team tasks run smoothly and is often the peacemaker during disagreements. At social gatherings, someone who scores high on extroversion and openness is the one introducing new games or conversations, drawing groups together with fresh ideas. In academia, a mix of high openness and neuroticism might drive passionate debates, but can also result in heightened stress during exams. Reading personality types blends attention to verbal and nonverbal signals with a growing sense of emotional intelligence, giving you a richer understanding of those around you. These foundational frameworks offer powerful tools for analyzing and connecting with others, serving as a stepping stone to exploring how personality interacts with ever-changing situations. Interpreting behaviors, consistency, adaptability, and rapid profiling. When encountering new people, distinguishing between personality-driven behavior and temporary responses to a situation is the foundation of practical people reading. The behavior observation method begins with careful, deliberate watching of actions, word choice, and demeanor across different encounters and contexts. Consistent, repeated patterns usually signal aspects of core personality, while abrupt changes or variations may point to situational adaptations. Differentiating core and contextual behaviors. Specific indicators often reveal when someone is acting from their stable personality traits. Repetitive behavioral patterns, regardless of setting, for example, always eager to take initiative, consistently quiet in both large rooms and one-on-one exchanges. Characteristic ways of expressing themselves that don't change much. Fast talking, habitual joking, or regular displays of patience. Work preferences and energy levels that remain steady, like consistently seeking solitude to recharge. Emotional reactions that are fairly predictable. Conversely, situational responses usually show up as sudden shifts in demeanor or body language when circumstances change. Differences in assertiveness, openness, or sociability based on specific company or tasks. Behavioral changes linked to clear triggers, such as authority figures, deadlines, or social pressure. Contradictory actions in familiar versus unfamiliar situations. Suppose you meet Maya at an office networking event. She appears reserved, avoids eye contact, and stays near the exit. The next week, in a team meeting among familiar faces, she laughs openly, shares ideas, and seems relaxed. If this contrast repeats, with Maya quiet around strangers and vibrant around colleagues, it strongly suggests her reserved behavior at the event was a situational response, rooted in shyness around new people, while her true personality emerges when comfortable. Practical tracking exercises. 1. Track patterns. Over several days, jot down notes on how someone behaves in diverse settings. Team meetings, coffee breaks, lunchtime, and one-on-one chats. 2. Spot situational triggers. Watch for abrupt changes in confidence, speech, or social energy, and note what's happening in the environment. 3. Recognize the authentic. Observe for behaviors that stay consistent and seem effortless or unconscious versus those that appear forced. 4. Systemize observations. Use a simple log with columns for observed behavior, context, consistency, and noticeable triggers. Rapid psychological profiling framework. To build fast, practical personality sketches, start with an initial observation checklist. Q. Appearance. Details to notice. Dress. Formal, relaxed. Grooming, accessories. Q. Posture. Details to notice. Erect, slouched. Open, closed stance. Q. Movement. Details to notice. Swift, deliberate. Restless, steady. Speech pattern analysis. Are they direct or indirect communicators? Do they use a lot of I statements or emphasize the group? Is their tone calm, forceful, questioning, or humorous? Is their rate of speech fast and energetic, or slow and thoughtful? Behavioral cue interpretation. Using the Big Five as a guide, interpret signs. Extroversion. Do they seek out people, initiate conversations, and make eye contact? Agreeableness. How do they respond to disagreement? Cooperative or combative language? Conscientiousness. Punctuality, orderliness, and attention to detail. Neuroticism. Visible anxiety, irritability, or emotional outbursts. Openness. Curious questions, creative expressions, and willingness to try new things. Profile compilation. 1. Log first impressions using the checklist. 2. Add speech analysis notes. 3. Match cues to personality trait markers. 4. Review for evidence of consistency or change across situations. 5. Summarize in a brief statement, for example, shows high conscientiousness in meetings, more extroverted with familiar faces, probable situational introversion in crowds. Application scenarios. At a project kickoff, Raj enters confidently, shaking hands and making casual conversation. He cracks jokes with both managers and junior staff, and soon volunteers for a presentation. His posture is open, his movement is energetic, and his speech is quick and expressive. Here, multiple markers reinforce a strong, extroverted, possibly high openness personality. In contrast, during a client call, Alexis usually keeps her camera off and speaks only when addressed. She submits detailed written updates ahead of time and points out inconsistencies in client requests politely but firmly. Her consistent attention to detail, combined with a preference for written over spoken communication, points to high conscientiousness and possible introversion rather than simple nervousness. Avoiding hasty judgments. Quick profiling is powerful, but common pitfalls include confirmation bias and cultural misunderstandings. For example, a reserved demeanor in meetings may reflect respect, not introversion, in some cultures. Always allow for context by observing across multiple interactions before drawing any conclusions. Principles for effective profiling. Stay objective by recording observable facts, not interpretations. Keep initial profiles flexible. Update them as new information emerges. Use profiling as a tool for understanding, not for labeling or pigeonholing. Prioritize empathy and open-mindedness, respecting differences in background and context. With systematic, thoughtful observation, both the nuances of personality and the fluidity of situational behavior become accessible, offering a richer, more accurate understanding of everyone encountered. Now that we've explored key personality frameworks and learned how to identify consistent traits versus situational behaviors, we are better equipped to read people accurately in real time. By paying close attention to social orientation, the big 5 traits, and subtle behavioral cues, we can deepen our understanding of others and adapt our communication accordingly. This foundation not only helps us recognize genuine emotions and intentions, but also strengthens our ability to build trust, avoid misunderstandings, and respond effectively across different settings. With these tools, you are ready to move forward with greater confidence in analyzing behavior, detecting hidden feelings, and enhancing your personal and professional relationships. Chapter 7. NLP Essentials for Analyzing People. Have you ever found yourself in a conversation and sensed there was more beneath the surface, something unspoken yet clearly present? Maybe a colleague's words didn't quite match their tone, or a friend's gestures revealed hesitation behind confident statements. These moments challenge us to make sense of subtle signals that often go unnoticed, yet they hold the key to more profound understanding. Reading people accurately is not only about catching obvious clues, but also about recognizing patterns in how they think, speak, and behave. It involves tuning into the ways individuals process information differently through sight, sound, and feeling. Mastering these skills helps reveal hidden emotions, detect when someone might be holding back the truth, and build stronger connections by aligning with their natural communication style. This chapter explores the foundational concepts of neuro-linguistic programming and offers practical tools to decode language, body cues, and behavioral habits. Through clear explanations and hands-on exercises, you will learn how to observe and interpret the subtle ways people express themselves. Whether in professional settings or everyday encounters, these insights will help you communicate more effectively, uncover underlying motivations, and establish genuine rapport. By understanding how anchoring shapes emotional responses and how mirroring can foster trust, you will develop confidence in analyzing others as conversations unfold. The techniques shared here aim to sharpen your awareness and guide you toward clearer and more accurate interpretations of human behavior. These skills will enhance not only your interactions, but also your ability to connect and influence with empathy and insight. Foundations of NLP and Understanding the VAK Model. Neuro-linguistic programming, often called NLP, offers a systematic way to explore the connections between what people think, what they say, and what they do. At its core, NLP works like a manual for understanding how individuals organize their thoughts and behaviors differently, shaping everything from daily conversations to the decisions they make under pressure. By observing the words people choose, how they use their voice, and their subtle body language, patterns in thinking become more noticeable. NLP is not just about academic theory. It's a practical toolkit that allows anyone to decode these patterns and gain clearer insights into human behavior. This approach helps reveal why two people might react to the same situation in completely different ways, providing a foundation for better communication and stronger relationships. NLP identifies 3 key elements for understanding behavior: neurology, language, and programming. Neurology refers to how people process experiences through their senses and internal thoughts. Language includes not only spoken words, but also tone, pace, and rhythm. Programming relates to the automatic habits and behavioral strategies people use, often without even realizing it. The relevance of this approach becomes clear when you pay close attention to everyday interactions. For example, imagine talking to a colleague who says, "I see what you mean." The choice of words is more than casual. It reflects a visual way of processing information. Another person might say, "That sounds good to me," which highlights an auditory focus instead. These subtle word choices are windows into their mental world, revealing how they receive and organize information. Eye movements, posture, and gestures add rich layers to the language people use. An individual glancing upward while recalling information may be visualizing an image. In contrast, looking to the side might indicate listening to inner dialogue or recalling a voice. Recognizing these patterns allows for deeper behavioral analysis. For instance, noticing a student in a seminar consistently facing the speaker, nodding energetically, and echoing key words suggests rapport and keen interest. The power of NLP grows through consistent, practical application. Professionals can use it to identify what motivates a team or to recognize conflict cues. In social settings, a friend's inconsistent body language paired with hesitant speech may signal uncertainty or mixed feelings. Even in a classroom, a teacher who mirrors students' preferred language patterns and gestures may inspire greater trust and participation. These strategies open the door to meaningful improvements in understanding others. NLP introduces essential terminology that supports this process without becoming overwhelming. Take anchoring, for example, a technique where certain gestures or words become linked with specific emotional states. If someone hears their name in a gentle tone during a stressful meeting, that tone can act as an anchor, reducing anxiety the next time it's used. Another foundational concept is rapport, the sense of connection and trust that forms between people. Observing someone matching another's body posture or mirroring their language choices signals rapport. In a job interview, this might involve subtly matching the interviewer's speech patterns, leading to a smoother and more open conversation. People reading skills develop through exercises that strengthen observation and interpretation. Here are 2 foundational activities to begin with. Exercise 1. Sensory awareness activity. Purpose: to raise awareness of how people reveal their thought processes through language and nonverbal cues. Step-by-step implementation. 1. Observe a conversation, in person, video, or audio. 2. Listen carefully for phrases like "I see," "I hear," or "I feel." 3. Notice accompanying gestures, such as touching an ear, pointing, or shifting posture. 4. Write down observed words and nonverbal behaviors. Observable outcomes: greater awareness of how language links to internal thinking styles, detection of dominant sensory words and body movements. Real-world application. Apply in meetings to identify whether a coworker prefers visual, sees, auditory, hears, or kinesthetic, feels. Ways of processing information, making it easier to tailor presentations. Exercise 2. Communication mapping activity. Purpose: to link spoken words, vocal cues, and body language for deeper insight into someone's communication preferences. Step-by-step implementation. 1. Select a short interaction, such as asking directions. 2. Map 3 components: words used, tone, speed, pitch, and body language, gestures, posture. 3. Identify patterns between what is said and how it is expressed physically. Observable outcomes. Identification of congruence or mismatch between words, tone, and gestures. Ability to spot genuine enthusiasm or potential discomfort. Real-world application. Useful in interviews or appraisals to sense when someone's words don't match their nonverbal signals, revealing important unspoken information. A team leader watching a group discussion quickly notices that one member repeatedly uses hand movements to draw shapes in the air while explaining ideas. Verbal cues like, "Let's map this out," and "Picture it like this," align with these gestures. This combination of indicators suggests a visual representational system, an area that soon opens up richer possibility for deeper behavioral analysis. Anchoring, behavioral triggers, and building rapport using NLP. A familiar song can instantly spark memories of a high school dance, while the scent of a particular perfume might remind someone of their grandmother. These automatic responses are everyday examples of anchoring, the process by which specific experiences or stimuli, anchors, trigger emotional or behavioral reactions. Professional speakers often touch a particular spot in the lectern or make a distinct hand gesture every time they want to energize their audience, subtly using anchoring to establish consistent moods or engagement levels. Anchors can be found in all sensory modalities, reflecting the VAK, visual, auditory, kinesthetic model. Visual anchors might be the color scheme of an office or a colleague's frequent use of a confident posture. Auditory anchors include certain phrases, tones, or rhythms of speech, while kinesthetic anchors often involve handshakes, a pat on the back, or a steadying breath before speaking. Anchor identification exercise. Noticing natural anchors enhances people reading skills. Sit in a public setting, like a cafe, and observe interactions. Watch for what precedes shifts in mood or behavior. Does someone brighten up when a friend arrives, or fidget when a particular ringtone sounds? Take notes on what environmental, verbal, or physical cues might be acting as anchors. Observable outcomes. You should be able to recognize repeated triggers, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, that cause a consistent response. Pitfalls. Overinterpreting ambiguous cues or missing subtle patterns. Indicators of success. Accurately predicting someone's response when a known anchor appears. Step-by-step anchor creation process. 1. Choose a desired state. Decide on the feeling or behavior you wish to evoke. Confidence, calm, enthusiasm. 2. Evoke the state. Use memory, imagination, or an activity to bring about this state as strongly as possible. 3. Apply the anchor. While the emotion peaks, introduce a unique anchor, a touch to the knuckle, a word said in a specific tone, or a visual gesture. 4. Test the anchor. After a break, apply the anchor again to see if it reliably brings back the desired response. 5. Reinforce as needed. Repeat the process a few times to strengthen the association. Observable outcomes. You can deliberately evoke the anchored state with the chosen cue. Pitfalls. Timing the anchor before the emotion peaks or being inconsistent in application. Indicators of success. Immediate, repeatable access to the anchored feeling or behavior. Guidelines for ethical application. Use anchoring to encourage positive emotions or to help others feel comfortable, confident, or receptive. Always respect the autonomy of others. Never attempt to create negative or manipulative anchors. In professional and personal relationships, Disclose your intentions if an anchor directly affects another person's emotions. Anchors naturally blend with techniques like mirroring and pacing to build rapport. Mirroring involves subtly reflecting another person's body language, gestures, or posture, while pacing and matching refer to aligning your speech rate, tone, and language style with theirs. This creates an unconscious bond, increasing trust and connection. A therapist might lean in slightly when a client does, speaking softly if the client's tone lowers, establishing comfort. In sales, a representative echoes a customer's gesture or tempo, fostering agreement. Effective leaders match their team's energy and vocabulary during meetings, supporting cohesion and open dialogue. Mirroring and pacing exercise. Choose a conversation partner and, without drawing attention, begin to match aspects of their posture or gestures. Adjust your speech rate to align with theirs, listening for patterns in how they speak and move. Observable outcomes. The other person appears more relaxed, open, and engaged. Conversations flow more smoothly. Pitfalls. Mirroring too closely, too quickly, or exaggerating, which can feel inauthentic or even unsettling. Indicators of success. Subtle improvements in rapport, easier conversation, and occasional spontaneous copying of your own behavior by the other. Matching and pacing speech patterns. Listen carefully to another's language. Do they use visual words? See what I mean? Auditory cues? I hear you. Or kinesthetic language? It feels right. Responding using similar phrases or matching their cadence and volume creates alignment. Observable outcomes? The person nods more, uses inclusive language, and demonstrates comfort. Pitfalls. Overdoing it, using unnatural or forced phrases, or failing to adjust when the other person's style changes. Indicators of success. Mutual understanding builds, and communication barriers drop. Recognizing anchoring and rapport techniques. Begin watching for subtle anchoring and rapport building in daily encounters. The manager who always taps his pen before making decisions, the friend who matches your excitement, or a speaker who repeats gestures with each key topic. Real-world scenario table. Setting. Sales. Anchoring example. Firm handshake signals reliability. Rapport technique. Tone mirrors customer. Setting. Therapy. Anchoring example. Soothing words before deep work. Rapport technique. Matching posture. Setting. Leadership. Anchoring example. Repeated power pose in meetings. Rapport technique. Aligning group energy. Setting. Social gathering. Anchoring example. A laugh track triggers group laughter. Rapport technique. Adapting speech tempo. When applying these skills, always focus on genuine curiosity and connection. Tailoring anchors and rapport steps to the person's VAK preference, such as showing graphs for visual types, sharing sounds for auditory types, or offering tactile items for kinesthetic types, deepens mutual understanding and helps you read people more effectively in every area of life. Now that you have a solid grasp of the foundational concepts of NLP and understand how tools such as the VAK model, anchoring, mirroring, and pacing work, you can begin applying these techniques to observe and understand others with greater clarity. By paying attention to language patterns, body language, and subtle behavioral cues, you gain the ability to read people more accurately in real time, detect hidden emotions or deception, and build stronger connections through improved communication. As you continue to practice these skills, you will become more confident and effective in both personal and professional interactions, creating deeper understanding and trust with those around you. Chapter 8. Detecting Deception Ethically. Have you ever found yourself doubting whether someone is telling the truth, but feeling unsure about what gave it away? Maybe during a conversation you noticed subtle changes, a shift in tone, a pause that felt too long, or a flicker of hesitation in their eyes, but you couldn't quite identify what those signals meant. We all face moments when we wish we could see beyond words and understand what people are truly feeling beneath the surface. Detecting deception is not about catching someone with dramatic reveals or bold accusations. It requires careful attention to small changes in behavior, speech, and body language while maintaining respect for the person's dignity and cultural background. This chapter will guide you through practical ways to observe and interpret these cues, helping you build confidence in recognizing honesty or hidden emotions without rushing to judgment. By learning how to identify normal behavior and notice meaningful patterns, you will develop skills to read people more clearly and communicate with greater insight and respect. Recognizing signs of deception and establishing a baseline. Recognizing deception begins by closely observing how people speak and behave. When someone deceives, subtle verbal differences often appear. Voice pitch may rise as the body reacts to stress, since the vocal cords tighten involuntarily. In a job interview, for example, an applicant might answer confidently until asked about a weakness, when their tone climbs higher. Not everyone shows this shift. Some lower their voice, consciously trying to appear calm. Speech rate is another indicator. A person under pressure may speed up to rush past a lie, or slow down and pause, often while formulating a false story. During a negotiation, a participant might deliver facts steadily and then grow hesitant and choppy when pressed on pricing, which signifies discomfort. Yet, some individuals naturally speak quickly or slowly, so it's important to note these baselines before making judgments. Word choice patterns often shift when someone is dishonest. People sometimes use overly formal language to distance themselves from the lie, saying things like, "One was not present at the scene," instead of, "I wasn't there." They may increase filler words such as, to avoid direct pronouns by saying, "That was handled," instead of, "I handled it." In personal conversations, a friend denying knowledge of a surprise might suddenly use more impersonal, evasive terms. Others, striving not to appear suspicious, overcompensate by being unusually precise. Nonverbal cues add another layer of observation. Microexpressions, which are brief and involuntary movements, can flash across a person's face in fractions of a second and signal hidden emotions. For instance, someone pretending to be excited about a new company project might show a rapid flicker of contempt or fear before returning to a smile. These expressions are difficult to control, but not everyone displays them, and they can easily be missed if you're not paying attention. Body positioning provides further clues. A person who leans away, crosses their arms tightly, or angles their feet toward the exit during a discussion could be signaling discomfort or a desire to leave. In a business meeting, a negotiator who has been engaged might subtly shift their posture when asked a difficult question. Gestural changes such as nervously touching the face, fiddling with objects, or repeatedly tapping a foot often reflect inner tension. However, some individuals are naturally fidgety or reserved, so gestures mean little without context for comparison. To separate genuine indicators of deception from normal quirks, it is essential to establish a behavioral baseline. A baseline is a record of a person's typical way of speaking, moving, and interacting when they are relaxed and truthful. Practical exercises can help develop this crucial skill. Exercise 1. Baseline Behavior Mapping. Observe someone in a setting where no stress or incentive to lie exists, such as a lunchroom at work or a casual chat with a friend. Spend at least 15 minutes taking mental or written notes on how the person typically behaves. Focus on vocal qualities, volume, pitch, speech rate, habitual gestures, natural postures, and facial expressions while discussing familiar, neutral topics. Use a table or chart to document specific behaviors and note the range of normal variation for each. Behavior. Voice pitch, typical pattern, mid-range, steady. Notable variations, rises when excited. Behavior, speech rate, typical pattern, moderate, fluid. Notable variations, slows when describing events. Behavior, gestures, typical pattern, talks with hands, relaxed. Notable variations, plays with hair when thinking. Behavior, facial expressions, typical pattern, smiles often, warm. Notable variations, frowns briefly when unsure. Repeat this mapping with different individuals and contexts to increase awareness of normal diversity. Compare documented patterns to later situations where truthfulness is uncertain. This avoids confusing natural habits for signs of deception. Exercise 2. Deviation Detection Practice. After baseline mapping, practice identifying deviations through role play. Arrange a scenario, such as a mock interview or negotiation, where the other person sometimes provides truthful answers and sometimes deceptive ones. Take notes on changes from their established baseline, including increased pauses, nervous eye movements, unusual word choices, or stiff body language. Focus on concrete differences rather than gut feelings. In a simulated business negotiation, a participant might become unusually terse or start tapping their foot when concealing critical information. In a personal context, a friend who usually jokes while telling stories may suddenly appear serious and reserved. Tracking each change helps refine judgment and reveal genuine deviations. At the same time, beware of confirmation bias, which can cause you to see lies where none exist, simply because you expect to find them. Common mistakes include assuming nervousness equals dishonesty or misreading cultural habits, such as avoiding eye contact as signs of deception. Regularly reviewing documentation helps prevent these errors. Single behavioral cues rarely provide enough evidence of deceit. Instead, use careful observation to build a clearer picture through patterns and clusters, and avoid drawing conclusions based on isolated signals. Remain mindful that ethical observation requires respect for privacy, cultural context, and the distinction between anxiety and dishonesty. These skills form a strong foundation for advanced analysis of behavioral clusters and for interpreting complex situations in later sections. Using behavioral clusters and maintaining ethical standards. When someone tells a lie, their body often reacts in several subtle ways. Relying on just one signal, like a person fidgeting or touching their face, almost always leads to mistakes. People fidget for many reasons: nervousness, boredom, habit. Instead, reliable deception detection depends on recognizing behavioral clusters, a group of 2 or more nonverbal and verbal cues that happen close together and point in the same direction. A cluster forms when several behaviors change at the same time. For example, a person accused of wrongdoing lowers their voice, avoids eye contact, touches their neck, and gives short, incomplete answers. No single behavior alone suggests dishonesty. Together, these signals raise reasonable suspicion because their combination has stronger meaning than each hint by itself. Examples of behavioral clusters. A friend borrows your car and returns it late. You ask what happened. If she answers with a quiet, shaky voice while avoiding eye contact and repeatedly shrugging one shoulder, these signals form a cluster. Each behavior might mean something on its own. When they appear together in response to a direct question, the cluster suggests stress or discomfort, possibly related to dishonesty. Voice change alone, like speaking more softly, could signal tiredness or embarrassment. But if it comes with chin touching, tight lips, and an unusually long pause before answering, the likelihood that the person feels anxious or deceptive goes up. Clusters should occur within moments of each other in a specific context for them to carry weight. These groupings make deception detection more accurate. Experts look for at least 2 or 3 related signs within the same time frame, usually just before, during, or right after a key statement. If someone clears their throat, looks away, and stutters while explaining where they were last night, this cluster may deserve attention. How context shapes behavioral meaning. Without context, even well-formed clusters can mislead. Imagine a job interviewee who sweats, plays with her necklace, and speaks quickly in response to a salary question. These signals could suggest deceit or simple nervousness due to the high stakes. Cultural backgrounds matter too. Avoiding eye contact could be a sign of respect, not dishonesty, in some cultures. Consider a teacher who notices a student hesitating, glancing downward, and twisting a pencil when asked about homework. These behaviors may look suspicious, unless the teacher knows the student always acts this way under pressure. In a noisy, crowded room, someone may stammer and fidget because of distraction, not deception. A cold environment could explain crossed arms or shivering that has nothing to do with lying. Signal reliability and evaluating behavioral evidence. Signal reliability refers to how consistently a group of behaviors signals the same thing. Clusters are more reliable than single cues. For instance, a single gesture, such as covering the mouth, occurs for many reasons. When it appears alongside voice cracks and defensive language, the reliability that a person feels under stress increases. A simple way to evaluate behavioral evidence is to look for the following. Number of related behaviors. 1. Time frame. Any. Context alignment. Not assessed. Signal reliability. Very low. Number of related behaviors. 2. Time frame. Close. Context alignment. Partially matches. Signal reliability. Moderate. Number of related behaviors. 3 or more. Time frame. Close. Context alignment. Fits context. Signal reliability. High. A close time frame means the behaviors appear together within a few seconds of a relevant question or statement. High signal reliability doesn't prove deception on its own. It only means the cluster is worth closer attention. Avoiding common mistakes in cluster analysis. Many people make mistakes when analyzing behavioral clusters. The most common mistake is ignoring context or personality differences. Assuming that any odd or nervous behavior means someone is lying often leads to false accusations. Another mistake is cherry-picking signals that confirm what we already suspect. Practical strategies include: observe a person's baseline over time before drawing conclusions from a cluster. Note clusters that repeat under similar questioning. Record which behaviors appear together and their timing. Stay aware of situational pressures and environmental factors. A notebook or digital app helps track evidence and patterns without letting memory play tricks. Always ask yourself if the cluster could be explained by something other than deceit, like anxiety, health issues, or cultural norms. Careful observation, recording patterns, and respecting unique individual and cultural differences lead to a more ethical, accurate approach. Instead of making snap judgments, focus on gathering clusters, reviewing context, and evaluating signal reliability step by step. This approach helps avoid unfair conclusions and respects the dignity of others. Now that we understand how to identify deception through careful observation of verbal and nonverbal cues, establish behavioral baselines, and recognize reliable clusters while respecting ethical boundaries, we are better equipped to read people accurately in real time. By combining these practical techniques with awareness of context and cultural differences, we can avoid common mistakes and make fairer judgments. This foundation not only helps detect hidden emotions and dishonesty with greater confidence, but also strengthens our communication and relationships by fostering deeper emotional insight and trust. As we move forward, these skills will serve as essential tools for navigating complex social interactions and improving personal and professional connections. Chapter 9. Emotional Intelligence in Action. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to understand not just what others say, but what they truly feel beneath the surface? Maybe you've been in a meeting where you sensed tension that no one mentioned, or in a conversation where you felt uneasy but couldn't explain why. These moments reveal something powerful: the ability to tune into emotions, both your own and those of others, and respond in ways that build connection instead of confusion. Emotional intelligence shapes how we perceive and navigate the social world. It influences how we manage our feelings, interpret the behavior of others, and handle relationships. Many people struggle because emotions are often unseen forces driving actions, which can lead to misunderstandings or missed opportunities for meaningful interaction. This chapter examines the components of emotional intelligence and explains how developing these skills sharpens your self-awareness and deepens your understanding of others, enabling clear communication and stronger connections in everyday life. Foundations of Emotional Intelligence and Self-Regulation. Emotional intelligence, often called EQ, is the ability to recognize, understand, and respond constructively to emotions, both your own and those of others. Unlike traditional intelligence, which measures cognitive skills, EQ focuses on how well you manage feelings and relationships. People with high EQ navigate social environments smoothly because they read emotional signals accurately and respond appropriately. At its core, EQ includes 4 main components: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. Self-awareness means recognizing your own emotions as they happen. When you are aware of your feelings, you can name them, understand what causes them, and notice how they influence your thoughts and actions. Self-management is about handling these emotions effectively. Instead of letting frustration or anxiety take over, people with strong self-management skills pause, reflect, and choose a helpful response. Social awareness extends this skill outward. It involves noticing and understanding others' emotions and picking up on the subtle cues in facial expressions, tone, or body language. Relationship management is the ability to use all this awareness to build strong and healthy connections, resolve conflicts, and inspire positive outcomes. EQ is a powerful tool for reading people. Consider a manager leading a team meeting. With high EQ, the manager senses tension in a team member who has not spoken up. Instead of ignoring it, the manager listens attentively, asks tactful questions, and creates a safe space for the team member to share. This leads to better understanding, greater trust, and more productive dialogue. In contrast, a manager with low EQ might overlook the silence, misread it as laziness, or respond irritably, which only worsens the problem. Being emotionally aware helps interpret behavior accurately. When you feel uneasy during a conversation, self-awareness might reveal that the emotion comes from your own anxiety rather than the other person's tone. This insight helps prevent misunderstandings. Social awareness sharpens your ability to decode nonverbal cues, such as recognizing that someone's crossed arms signal discomfort rather than rebellion. Over time, these skills make you better at predicting how people might react, which is essential for building rapport, de-escalating conflict, and fostering collaboration. EQ also shapes how we respond in social situations. Suppose you notice a friend is frustrated even though they insist everything is fine. With strong EQ, you would recognize the disconnect between words and body language. You might choose to ask a thoughtful question or simply offer support instead of accepting the surface answer. This approach deepens trust and prevents small issues from growing into larger conflicts. Here's a table to clarify how high EQ and low EQ play out in real interactions. Situation: receiving criticism. High EQ response: listens calmly, seeks feedback, uses it for growth. Low EQ response: reacts defensively, argues. Situation: sensing group tension. High EQ response: initiates kind check-in, adjusts approach. Low EQ response: ignores tension, pushes ahead. Situation: spotting nervousness. High EQ response: offers encouragement, slows down. Low EQ response: jokes, rushes, or dismisses. Situation: handling disagreement. High EQ response: asks clarifying questions, respects differing views. Low EQ response: interrupts, insists on being right. EQ is not just useful for managers or therapists. It matters in everyday life. A student who recognizes a teacher's disappointed look can seek help before grades begin to fall. A friend who senses excitement beneath another's quietness can celebrate with them, deepening their connection. Even quick exchanges, such as a cashier calming an upset customer with empathy, demonstrate EQ in action. Reading people relies heavily on emotional intelligence. Behavioral clues are everywhere, but EQ allows us to interpret them accurately. For example, a teammate's fidgeting might signal stress or boredom. Reading the context and combining nonverbal and verbal cues leads to the right conclusion. Skilled people readers notice patterns in posture, eye contact, tone, and pacing, using this information to adjust their communication and connect more effectively. Assessing your EQ can be straightforward. Simple frameworks, such as a personal reflection log, encourage you to record emotions throughout the day, note situations that trigger strong feelings, and reflect on your reactions. Reputable self-assessment questionnaires can also help by asking about typical emotional responses and coping habits. It can be useful to ask for feedback from trusted colleagues or friends, as others often notice gaps in your self-awareness or relationship skills that you might overlook. Building EQ skills starts with targeted practice in each area. Self-awareness. Spend a few minutes daily naming what you feel and why. Self-management. Experiment with new strategies for calming yourself, like deep breathing or reframing negative thoughts. Social awareness. Practice observing people's faces and body language in everyday scenarios. Relationship management. Try resolving small conflicts directly by stating your needs clearly and listening to the other side. Understanding your emotional landscape is the bedrock for reading others accurately. If you can accurately identify your feelings and the reasons behind them, you become less likely to project your assumptions or biases onto others. This clarity quiets internal distractions, allowing you to give full attention to the subtle cues that reveal what others are really thinking or feeling. EQ, then, is not just a set of social tools. It's a personal practice that, over time, transforms both how you see yourself and how you relate to everyone around you. Empathy, perspective-taking, and applying EQ to observation. Empathy operates on two levels, cognitive and emotional. Cognitive empathy is the ability to intellectually understand what someone else is feeling or thinking, while emotional empathy is feeling what another person is experiencing as if those emotions were your own. Picture a manager noticing a team member's frustration about a missed deadline. With cognitive empathy, the manager recognizes the frustration and might say, "I can see this delay is upsetting for you." Emotional empathy, in contrast, might lead the manager not only to notice, but also to deeply feel the tension in the room, perhaps sensing knots in their own stomach or unease in their tone while speaking to the employee. Both forms serve distinct roles. Cognitive empathy helps analyze and respond wisely, while emotional empathy connects on a heartfelt, human level. Understanding these differences is crucial. Emotional empathy provides the gut-level connection of, "I feel with you," but if left unchecked, it can become overwhelming or blur boundaries. Cognitive empathy works as a navigational tool, guiding responses and maintaining clarity between your emotions and those of others. Empathy is the gateway to deeper people-reading skills, allowing surface-level behavior to reveal its hidden meanings. The mirror response technique. Mirror response is a practical way to bring empathy into your daily interactions. This exercise helps you notice, label, and respectfully match the emotional states of others in real time. Step-by-step process. 1. Observe. Watch for emotional markers, facial expressions, voice pitch, pace of speech, posture, and gestures. For example, clenched fists, rapid speech, or averted eyes can all signal strong emotions. 2. Label. Internally name the emotion you suspect. "I think he's feeling anxious." 3. Mirror. Adjust your nonverbal cues to reflect understanding. If a colleague is quiet and withdrawn, match their calm tone without mimicking or exaggerating. 4. Respond. Use empathic language that acknowledges the emotion. "That sounds overwhelming," or I get why this situation feels tense. 6. Maintain boundaries. Stay present without absorbing the other person's mood. Remind yourself, I'm here to support, not to absorb. Common emotional markers. Emotion, anger. Facial, verbal cue, frowning, sharp tone. Body language, tense muscles, clenched fists. Emotion, sadness. Facial, verbal cue, downturned mouth, quiet voice. Body language, slumped posture, avoiding eye contact. Emotion, happiness. Facial, verbal cue, smiling, upbeat speech. Body language, open gestures, relaxed stance. Guidelines for professional boundaries. Mirror, don't mimic. Use supportive rather than fixing language. Pause and breathe if you start to feel overwhelmed. Politely redirect if conversations become too personal or emotionally charged. Practice scenarios. A coworker sighs loudly, shoulders slumped. I can't believe I have to redo this report. Effective response? I can see how frustrating that must be. Do you want to talk about it or need some space? Ineffective response. You shouldn't worry too much. It's just a report. A friend's voice cracks as she says, I'm not sure anyone really listens to me. Effective response. You sound really unheard right now. I'm here if you'd like to share more. Ineffective response. Well, maybe you should speak up more. The perspective shift method. Perspective taking allows you to analyze situations from another person's viewpoint, revealing motives beneath the surface. Framework for application. 1. Pause the judgment. Acknowledge your own biases before interpreting behavior. 2. Ask guiding questions. What pressures or stresses might this person be facing? What outcome do they wish for in this interaction? How would I feel in their position? 1. Collect context clues. Notice environment, relationships, cultural background, and recent events. 2. Separate your assumptions. Focus on observed facts rather than your emotions. Tools for objective people reading. Rephrase internal thoughts. Instead of, she's rude, try, she's short in her responses. Maybe she's stressed. Use open-ended questions. Help me understand what's important to you about this. Real-world examples. A workplace conflict might dissolve when a manager realizes that an employee's criticism comes from anxiety about job security rather than disrespect. In a relationship, recognizing that a partner's silence during arguments may be a learned coping strategy helps build patience and trust. Navigating cultural differences, such as how some cultures interpret eye contact as respect while others see it as confrontational, requires perspective-taking to avoid misreading signals. Common misinterpretations arise when emotional cues are filtered through personal bias. Assuming anger when someone is actually hurt, or reading disengagement where there's a cultural restraint, which often results in conflict. Asking yourself, is my response based on their signals or on my own past experiences, helps prevent these mistakes. When applied together, empathy and perspective-taking transform guesswork into sensitive and accurate understanding. Practicing these skills in low-stakes environments, such as a coffee chat or a team meeting, prepares you for more complex situations. By watching for concrete cues, asking careful questions, and managing your own emotional boundaries, you develop both the mindset and the skill set to interpret and connect effectively. Now that we understand the key components of emotional intelligence and how they enhance self-awareness and interpersonal insight, we can begin applying these skills to read people more accurately in everyday situations. By practicing self-awareness, managing our emotions thoughtfully, tuning into others' feelings with empathy, and shifting perspectives to see beyond surface behaviors, we build a foundation for clear communication and stronger relationships. Developing EQ empowers us to detect hidden emotions and potential misunderstandings before they escalate, making interactions more productive and authentic. With continued effort, emotional intelligence becomes not only a way to understand others, but also a tool for navigating the social world with confidence and care. Chapter 10. Applying the skills in everyday life. Stepping into any social setting, whether a bustling cafe or a quiet video call, we are constantly surrounded by subtle signals that reveal what others truly think and feel. Yet, these cues often go unnoticed or misunderstood, leaving us guessing about the intentions behind a smile, a glance, or a message. Have you ever found yourself unsure if someone's words match their body language, or struggle to tell when honesty gives way to deception? This uncertainty can make everyday interactions confusing and challenging to navigate. In this chapter, you will explore how to sharpen your ability to read people in both face-to-face and digital environments. By learning to observe key behaviors, recognize patterns, and interpret nonverbal communication, you can develop practical skills for understanding others more deeply. Along the way, you'll also discover how to spot signs of manipulation and build habits that support continuous growth in your people-reading abilities. Practicing people reading in real-world and digital situations. You enter a crowded cafe for a first date. The atmosphere buzzes with conversation and clinking coffee cups. Observe your date's posture and eye contact. Are they facing you directly with open shoulders, or turned away, glancing at the door or their phone? Notice their smile, as genuine smiles reach the eyes and soften the face. Gauge touch. Do they mirror your small gestures, or do they maintain a polite distance? Listen for tone of voice. Enthusiastic interest comes through in energetic responses, while polite disinterest often sounds flat or overly formal. Patterns emerge in how people show real engagement. A partner who is genuinely interested in you leans forward, laughs sincerely, and asks follow-up questions that go beyond small talk. Polite behavior hides behind frequent nodding, short responses, and little eye contact. Practice by listing the physical and verbal cues you spot. Then rate each for authenticity. Afterward, compare notes and ask yourself whether their behavior matched their words. Expect to recognize at least 3 distinct nonverbal cues that signal either genuine interest or mere politeness. A conference room hums before a workplace meeting begins. Subtle dynamics play out in where people sit, who controls the agenda, and how interruptions unfold. Power often shows up in posture, as confident managers take up more space, steeple their hands, and hold steady eye contact. Team relationships become clear when colleagues nod in agreement, glance at each other for support, or turn their chairs toward particular people. Look for common patterns. Leaders speak early, control the tempo, and use inclusive gestures to bring others in, or exclusive postures to keep them out. Side conversations and quiet agreement between coworkers can point to alliances or tension. Try tracking who interrupts whom and how reactions shift during decision points. Create a diagram mapping these interactions and note at least 3 key cues, such as posture, eye contact, and seat choice, Review your observations after the meeting to spot unspoken hierarchies. A family dinner brings together relatives with shared history and underlying emotions. As dishes pass and stories flow, notice micro-expressions. A fleeting frown or quick eye roll signals disagreement before words do. Tone changes dramatically when sensitive topics arise. Laughter may feel forced, or voices might tighten. Watch if someone dodges questions or suddenly busies themselves with tasks to avoid tough conversations. See how alliances form. Family members may glance at each other when another speaks or use subtle touches to comfort or soothe. Acknowledge the challenge of cultural norms where direct confrontation is avoided in favor of masking emotions. Practice by picking 3 cues, such as facial expressions, voice shifts, and avoidance behaviors. Record the moment you see each, then connect them to the larger feelings that are present in the room. This helps you detect underlying emotions and issues that are rarely voiced aloud. Negotiation settings put observation to the test. Picture a small office where 2 people discuss contract terms. Confidence radiates from a relaxed body, steady breathing, and a clear voice. Hesitation appears in fidgeting, averted gaze, tapping fingers, or cracks in the voice. Potential deception often shows up through over-explained points, excessive detail, or delayed responses. Chart how the other person's body language shifts after questions. Do they touch their face or avoid direct answers? Watch if their initial confidence falters under scrutiny. Run a practice negotiation role play and take notes on 3 key cues indicating confidence, hesitation, or concealment. Use your notes to build trust assessment skills and create a foundation for detecting manipulation. Digital communication requires adapting traditional observation. In text messages, response timing, word choice, and emoji use all reveal intent. Quick replies suggest enthusiasm or urgency. Slow or sporadic replies may indicate hesitation or distraction. Short, direct texts often communicate clarity, while lengthy or over-punctuated messages can suggest nervousness. Light or heavy emoji use can reveal mood or relational closeness. Patterns appear in how messages are framed. Consistent greeting styles and emoji placement reveal the sender's comfort level. Copy 5 real or recent text exchanges. For each, highlight response times, specific word choices, and emoji patterns. Assign a mood or intent label based on your analysis, tracking how often you accurately interpret the sender's true feelings. Email brings a formal context. Observe opening lines. Addressing someone by full name or using formal language signals distance or professionalism. Informal greetings and rapid responses point to relaxed relationships. Response patterns, such as replying to all or looping in specific people, reveal group dynamics and influence. Collect 3 workplace emails and note differences in opening phrases, sign-offs, and structure. Practice matching language formality to relationship closeness. Your goal is to distinguish formality from friendliness and identify patterns that reveal team roles or hidden agendas. Video calls present a unique blend of physical and digital cues. Pay attention to participants' screen positioning. Are they centered and attentive, or distracted and frequently looking away? Notice background setups. Are they professional, messy, or carefully arranged? Track visual signals such as head nods, hand gestures, and how often someone unmutes to speak or stays silent. In a practice call, monitor 3 people. Record 3 behavioral markers: attentiveness through eye contact with the camera, engagement through timely responses, and environment through background cues. Write down moments when these align or conflict with spoken words, training yourself to notice discrepancies that often hint at deeper issues. Train your people reading skills with these exercises by focusing on consistent observation and honest interpretation of natural patterns. Watch for common misconceptions. Not every slow reply means disinterest, and a stiff posture might come from nerves rather than dishonesty. Always consider cultural differences, as gestures and norms vary widely. Developing systematic observation builds a foundation you can use to judge intent, recognize trust signals, and identify manipulation as your skills sharpen. Identifying manipulation and building lifelong people reading habits. Manipulation surfaces in diverse ways, often cloaked in everyday actions. Noticing mismatched verbal and nonverbal cues is one of the first signals. A person might say, "I'm happy to help," while crossing their arms, avoiding eye contact, or showing tension in their jaw. In meetings, enthusiasm in words but lack of engagement in posture can signal deeper discomfort. Sometimes the mismatch is subtle, such as a polite "yes" delivered with a forced smile or hesitation. Consistent observation over time, rather than relying on one instance, increases accuracy. An appropriate response includes gently seeking clarification by saying, "I noticed you seemed quiet about this. Are you sure you're comfortable?" Love bombing and excessive flattery can feel like overwhelming kindness at first. Someone showers another with compliments, attention, or gifts quickly, often before any true connection develops. In social situations, such as new friendships or budding romantic interests, this may appear as constant texting, praise, or offers of help that seem disproportionate. Another sign is the person's disappointment or withdrawal if appreciation is not immediately returned. Recognize this by setting deliberate boundaries. Accept kindness, but set limits, and monitor whether respect for those boundaries follows. Guilt-inducing behavior shows up when a person tries to make others feel responsible for their own emotions or outcomes. Examples include phrases like, "After all I've done for you," or "You're making me feel this way." Variations include subtle sighs, lingering silence, or frequent reminders about past help. At work, this manipulation might arrive through responsibilities reframed as moral obligations. Respond by making space for your own feelings and gently returning responsibility to the other person by saying, "I appreciate your help, but my choices are still mine." Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation where someone systematically undermines another's reality. This might involve statements like, "That never happened," or "You're imagining things." In digital communication, gaslighting may appear through rewriting histories via text or email or deleting messages. Small, repeated denials rather than obvious lies make it more insidious. Counter this with documentation. Keep notes, preserve digital records, and calmly affirm your recollection. Information control tactics cover a wide range of behaviors that restrict access to facts or communication. In professional settings, this includes withholding key information about tasks or deadlines. Within families, it might mean only telling certain people selected details to shape perception. Subtle versions include changing the subject, giving partial truths, or forgetting to share news. If you notice odd gaps or uneven flows of information, ask for clarification and verify details from multiple sources whenever possible. Recognizing authenticity relies on a different set of patterns. Consistency across situations is key. Do people speak, act, and react in ways that align, regardless of audience or setting? Emotional regulation also provides valuable clues. Trustworthy people express feelings appropriate to the context, rather than dramatic extremes or sudden mood swings. Respecting boundaries, listening without pushing, and asking before acting signal healthy dynamics. Accountability is equally vital. Genuine individuals admit mistakes, apologize, or clarify misunderstandings instead of shifting blame. Their communication is congruent. Tone, body language, and words match, even in small gestures. Accountability is often visible in workplace teams when someone credits others for success and acknowledges their own role in setbacks. Building consistent daily observation habits strengthens people-reading skills. Morning check-ins support mindful intention, such as recalling one interaction to observe during the day. At work, purposeful interaction analysis may mean noticing colleagues' engagement levels in meetings or picking up on recurring nonverbal reactions. Digital reviews help identify tone shifts in messages or abrupt changes in response styles. Evening reflection anchors learning, allowing for notes on successful reads or misinterpretations. Weekly self-assessments using a simple checklist that includes the number of accurate reads, missed cues, and ethical choices also help track progress. Practice. Morning check-in. Focus area. Intention setting. Simple tool. 3-minute journal prompt. Practice. Interaction review. Focus area. Workplace social analysis. Simple tool. Quick behavior log. Practice. Digital analysis. Focus area. Email, text pattern spotting. Simple tool. Note key shifts. Practice. Evening reflection. Focus area. Skill consolidation. Simple tool. Brief self-questionnaire. Practice. Weekly assessment. Focus area. Progress tracking. Simple tool. Checklist and mini recap. Quick read assessment. Objective. Make a 2-minute people reading observation in any environment. Observable behaviors. Posture, eye contact, tone shifts. Practice steps. Quietly observe a colleague, store clerk, or family member. Note 3 visible behaviors and any alignment or misalignment with their words. Success metrics. Able to identify one authentic and one questionable behavior. Common pitfalls. Rushing to judgment or overanalyzing isolated cues. Ethical considerations. Respect privacy. Do not eavesdrop or intrude. Digital communication analysis. Objective. Identify trustworthiness cues in emails, texts, or digital chats. Observable behaviors. Message tone, response delay patterns, emoji use, sudden topic shifts. Practice steps. Review 5 recent conversations, list patterns, and mark any mismatches. Success metrics. Spot 2 consistent or inconsistent behaviors. Common pitfalls. Reading too much into formality or culture-driven style. Ethical considerations. Do not invade private messages not meant for you. Group dynamics observation. Objective. Observe group behavior in a meeting, class, or social setting. Key behaviors: participation gaps, body orientation, frequent agreement, tension signs. Recording methods: jot quick notes on group flow and individual roles. Progress tracking: compare observations over multiple sessions. Red flag identification: unusual silence, pressuring, information hoarding. Green light recognition: open sharing, laughter, respectful disagreement. Ethical use requires practicing discretion in professional and personal contexts. Always ask yourself if your observations are respectful and necessary. Safeguard private information and attend to cultural differences in communication style. Establish clear personal boundaries. Avoid analyzing people in sensitive situations. Stay aware of your professional limitations and seek guidance when needed. Sustainable people reading practice blends curiosity, integrity, and ongoing adjustment to new situations and relationships. Now that you've explored how to practice people reading across varied real-world and digital settings, you can approach each interaction with greater awareness and confidence. By regularly observing key cues like posture, tone, and eye contact, and by comparing these signals with spoken words, you sharpen your ability to detect genuine emotions, uncover hidden intentions, and identify manipulative behaviors. Committing to ongoing reflection and ethical practice ensures that this skill grows steadily, helping you build stronger relationships and communicate more effectively. With consistent effort, you will move beyond guessing, gaining a reliable, practical toolkit to read people accurately and respond wisely in any situation. Conclusion: you've arrived at the end of a journey, not only through the pages of this book, but into the hidden side of every conversation, meeting, and relationship you will encounter from now on. The world of nonverbal communication and behavioral analysis is vast, intricate, and often invisible to the untrained eye. Yet you now possess a valuable toolkit, a framework for observing the subtle movements, expressions, and signals that reveal more about people than words ever could. Mastering this unspoken world is not about gaining power over others or manipulating situations to your advantage. Instead, it's about forging genuine connections, gaining clarity in your interactions, and empowering both yourself and those around you. Throughout these chapters, we uncovered the mechanics of how people communicate without speaking and why these mechanisms matter so much. From the arch of an eyebrow to the rhythm of a breath to the shifting weight between feet, every gesture becomes a meaningful piece of information. You learned how to recognize universal body language cues, decode micro-expressions that flicker across someone's face, and identify the telltale signs of deception and emotional discomfort. In doing so, you've expanded your awareness beyond words, stepping into a realm where perception is as sharp as intuition. But the true transformation lies in your approach. This knowledge is not meant to be wielded like a weapon. It's a lens through which you can understand others with deeper empathy and insight. When you read between the lines of someone's actions or expressions, you move closer to the heart of their experience by listening not just to what people say, but to how they say it. With their bodies, their silences, and their subtle reactions, you foster trust and understanding. Whether you are a student navigating social circles, a professional negotiating business deals, or someone simply interested in making better connections, these skills create a foundation for authentic, rewarding relationships. Now, let us reinforce and summarize the key lessons you've acquired. You have learned to observe people closely, noticing details most overlook. Where others see a simple nod, you can discern agreement, hesitation, or even hidden resentment. What was once invisible is now in plain sight. You are equipped to interpret the intentions and emotional states beneath each interaction, using principles from psychology, nonverbal communication, and NLP. Understanding the context of behavior, such as the situation, personal baseline, and cultural background, enables you to make nuanced judgments rather than snap assumptions. You now know how to detect incongruities between words and actions, and how to spot the subtle signs that appear when someone tries to conceal their feelings or deceive you. These observations empower you to protect yourself from manipulation and misunderstandings. You have developed greater self-awareness as well. Emotional intelligence is not just about reading others. It's about becoming attuned to your own internal signals, managing your responses, and communicating with mindfulness. Crucially, you have learned that practicing these skills with empathy and care makes all the difference. It's easy to fall into the trap of judging too quickly or using your knowledge to gain the upper hand. True mastery lies in compassionate observation, a commitment to seeing people as they are rather than reducing them to patterns or profile. When you interact with respect and curiosity, people sense your authenticity, and relationships flourish. The process of decoding people is ongoing. It requires consistent practice, patience, and a willingness to refine your perceptions with every new encounter. Make it a habit to analyze conversations, reflect on your own interpretations, and seek feedback from trusted sources. Each situation is unique, and no system is perfect. Sometimes the most powerful insights come from admitting what you don't know or asking open-ended questions rather than rushing to conclusions. This journey does not end here. In fact, it's only the beginning. As you integrate these tools into daily life, notice how your perspective shifts. Meetings become opportunities to read the dynamics beyond the agenda. Social gatherings transform into spaces for practicing observation and active listening. Even the smallest interactions, such as greetings in the hallway or brief exchanges at the checkout counter, become rich with meaning. With time, your growing emotional intelligence will sharpen your intuition. You will find yourself responding more thoughtfully, anticipating needs before they're voiced, and diffusing conflicts before they escalate. Your ability to connect and communicate will set you apart, whether in personal relationships, academic settings, or professional environments. Remember that real-time accuracy in reading people comes from blending science and art. There's a structure to human behavior, but there's also mystery. Stay humble in your analysis and open to learning. As you refine your observations, you will inevitably discover exceptions and surprises. People who defy categorization in situations that call for creative interpretation. Embrace these moments as part of the growth process. As you apply this knowledge, always strive to use it ethically. Respect privacy, avoid unnecessary judgment, and prioritize building trust. The goal is to help, not harm, those you interact with. Let your enhanced perception be a force for kindness, support, and positive change. Finally, take pride in the progress you've made. Seeing what others cannot is both a privilege and a responsibility. With careful attention, an open mind, and a compassionate heart, you can navigate the unspoken world with confidence. You will find greater security in your judgments, greater ease in resolving misunderstandings, and greater fulfillment in every connection you make. In closing, remember, that mastery is a lifelong pursuit. Every interaction is a new lesson, each person a fresh chapter. Continue observing, questioning, learning, and most importantly, connecting. The world is full of hidden stories, and now you have the gift and the wisdom to read them.